أخيراً اجتمعنا ببرنامج السينما اللاجئة. Finally we meet in the program that is entitled هلا بنبدأ على الفيديو entitled Cinema in Refuge. This is a program that Karama Human Rights Film Festival started in 2015. And it has a purpose to be able to reach out for refugees in their own places, in their clusters, and especially in the camps. This year, اليوم نحن السنة بكرامة 2024 23 اللي هي الدورة 14. سميناها دورة استثنائية، طبعاً دورة خاصة لفلسطين ولغزة. الجميع بيعرف شو عم يحدث هلأ من إبادة جماعية، لذلك كانت هي الضرورة أنه يكون هذا هو التوجه. فاللي كان بدي أقوله أنه بهذه المنصة in this very platform it is an opportunity that we meet as workers and activists and decision makers on the ground with refugees, or in your offices as researchers and individuals and groups who know more about what is the situation of the refugees in the refugee camps. Today we have a very simple task. We will exchange information about what we know, okay, each from their own platform or knowledge, and our main aim is to come out with recommendations to pinpoint what are the needs of the refugees in terms of cinema screenings, because what we need to do from Karama is to go to this camp and screen films that are of interest to these people. هلا you have the information, we have the tool. فبدكم تعطونا معلومات، كل شيء انتم بتقدروا تمرقوا لنا اياه، نحن بدنا ندونه، بدنا ناخذ كل شيء بنقدر ناخذه منكم، نعمل ريكومنديشن او 2 أو 3 خلينا نقول، لنقدر نحن بعدين بعد ما يخلص المهرجان نعمل تور تبعنا in the camps. يعني بدنا نعرف شو نوع الأفلام، على إيش نعمل advocacies، كيف نحكي مع الشباب والصبايا بهالكامبس، كيف نتوجه لهم، هل نحكي مع فاميليز كاملة ولا نحكي هلا، يعني هذا هو بشكل عام. بدنا نشوف شيء على الشاشة قبل ما نبتدي. أوكي شكرا.
So again, this is Malik Abdin. I'm the team leader for Care International in Jordan, especially for Azraq camp for Syria refugees. Today I will present mainly 10 years of working in Azraq camp in 15 minutes. So I will be brief. I will skip a lot of information, but hopefully we will at the end get the correct information. So if إذا سمحت بس تفتح الخريطة. If you know where Azraq camp is located, it's in middle of nowhere. It's in middle of the desert, on the highway for Azraq town, the bordering town for Iraq and Saudi Arabia. So the location of this camp is distinguished, and it has a great impact on how people lives and the needs of refugees over there. In Jordan, nearly 20% of refugees are living in camps, but those 20% of refugees, they do not have the same needs of the other 80%. They do not have, most of them, they do not have access to the near towns or cities, the markets, where the most essential livelihood opportunities can be provided, and they relied and they will rely for a long time on aid support, on a humanitarian support from the different organizations. We've been working since 2016 was the first year when we started looking into livelihood approaches, how we can ensure sustainability of support and self-reliance for refugees. But I can say that Care International and other organizations is having a difficult time in finding that solution, taking into consideration again the limitation on movement for refugees and the long distance from the nearest cities. In the paper I distributed, and I don't know if it's shown over there, this is 2023 main needs for refugees in Azraq camp. CARE International is responsible and mandated by all organizations in Azraq camp to receive all complaints, feedback, and suggestions on behalf of all actors. And from January till end of November, we found that this year, basic needs and livelihood needs were the greatest, with 44%. If we look at the same sheet before COVID, 3 years ago, it was totally different. So although this more or less represent what we shown in 2014 or 15, where people were requesting mainly the basic support, NFIs, food items, getting some cash support. And over the years, if we compare 2014 to 2017, this was a bit different. Refugees stopped requesting cash assistance. They were refusing sometimes to receive cash assistance. They were requesting to get a job and have a sustained income. They were somehow fulfilled in terms of food security. After all those years, we are seeing the same results of 10 years ago. So instead of having a developed situation in refugee camps, we are going backwards. And this is for many reasons, but especially the international community is mainly deprioritizing any crisis in case there is a new crisis. So the Syrian refugee crisis, since a while, all organizations are suffering from the lack of funding and lack of support for refugees. But 2020, we had the major COVID situation. After that, the Ukraine, and nowadays we have Gaza, which have an impact, although it's a different portfolio for donors, but at the same time, it has a great impact. For instance, in August this year, as you may know, refugees in refugee camps still receive cash for food assistance from the World Food Program. It equals to, it used to be 23 JOD, $32. And in August, it was announced and activated immediately that it became 15 JOD, $21. So a sudden cut of 33% came suddenly to refugees due to financial cuts on the whole Syrian response situation. They are also anticipating another cut at the end of the year, nothing official yet, but all major actors are facing the same situation. Needs are still the same. The number of refugees residing in Azraq camp is still 45,000 refugees. It's been like that and since years, and we are also receiving still an average of 20 to 30 new individuals coming to this camp. This is only for Azraq camp. For Zaatari camp, the situation is a bit worse because the number of refugees over there is exceeding 80,000. The full capacity of that camp was reached years ago. You know, the whole story of opening Azraq camp was a response to reaching the full capacity of Zaatari camp in 2013. So with all those years, still we were receiving refugees coming from Syria directly to camps, but nowadays we are receiving refugees coming from urban areas to camps. Those who are unable to survive in urban areas where you have to pay the rent, where you have to pay for every single thing, with no assistance at all, except for ad hoc assistance coming from organizations in terms of cash, emergency cash assistance, winterization, etc. Talking about winterization, it was also announced 3 weeks ago that there will be no winterization support. And what we mean by winterization support for refugees living in camps It is mainly refilling a gas cylinder to heat the shelter, to receive a blanket, to receive some clothes. So all of those items are missing. Refugees do not have sufficient cash to compensate for the cuts. For livelihood opportunities, before COVID, we have a term we use in camps. It's called incentive-based volunteering. Other areas, they call it cash for work, where refugees are hired to implement activities, and in return, they build their capacities, they serve their community, but they get cash. So they can buy whatever they want instead of relying on what organizations decide they should be receiving. Until late 2019, or the onset of COVID in March 2020, the number of volunteers, paid volunteers working in Azraq camp was nearly 3,000 people. So 3,000 families were getting a monthly salary while they were implementing activities. So it was giving an ownership for activities. Refugees were running the show, but and at the same time, cash was all over the place. So 3,000 families in 2020 or 2019 meant that nearly 40% of families in the camp got a job, and they were rotated. So every year, at least, the family will get at least one job opportunity for a couple of months, which helped a lot. Looking at today's figures, we have nearly 1,600 opportunities. This was due again to the cuts and support for the Syrian crisis. A lot of organizations abandoned their jobs due to the financial situation, leading into lack of job opportunities. 1,600 families means 15% of families in the camp got a job. So again, 15% means less money in the camp, less job opportunities, more idleness. And idleness is usually, we keep saying that idleness is our greatest enemy, especially in camp settings. I don't know if on the screen, yeah, we will go to that on a later stage if I have time. But maybe you will see on the screen on a later stage, or you saw it behind me, pictures of the shelters if you never went to a refugee camp. So imagine a family, a whole family, living in that shelter doing nothing. What the consequences will be, and what it will be in the also future. So if we categorize, going to the main topic of this session, if we categorize the main needs for refugees is having sustained solutions, especially livelihood solutions, but at the same time not forgetting or abandoning the basic needs refugees should have to go to that area. The main issue that mainly it's discussed in the donor community and international community, that after 10 years it is a protracted crisis, then we should move suddenly into the development phase, and refugees should find solutions, or they are relocated to other countries where they will get more opportunities. It's good, but at the same time, until we get there, people still have problems that they face on a daily basis. It has a great impact on education. Like all organizations, regardless of their mandate, their main focus should be education and how our work complement education. With what we are seeing now, there is an increase in number of children dropping out school because they are hopeless, or their families are hopeless. A father or a mother who used to have a job back in their hometown. They have a good education. They did it all. They came to to Azraq or Zaatri camps, and they found themselves sitting, doing nothing for years. What kind of messages they will be sending to their children? So some of them, they are advising their children to drop school and start looking for jobs from now, because they saw what happened to themselves. So the whole livelihood issue and lack of opportunity, lack of support under the livelihood sector is having a great impact on everything, on food security, on education, on protection also, especially for the most vulnerable groups in camps, people with disability, older persons, single females, and others. And unfortunately, we are looking at the moment at the crisis of Gaza, and we saw before other crises in the world. And from experience for Care International in Jordan and outside of Jordan, what is happening now will be forgotten after a while, after it's deprioritized, after there is a new priority for the world and where to support. Yeah, that's it. Still I have time ولا خلصنا?
Still have 1 minute.
1 minute. So I'm
But
not
we can
going
know,
to
but
show
you can,
what we are doing.
No, you can go back and talk again.
تمام. Thank
يعني
you.
في عندك another 10 minutes afterwards, but
Alright.
مشان يعملوا discussion.
Thank you so much.
كان علي، وين علي؟ نرمين. اوكي، يلا تفضلي نرمين.
يعطيكم ألف عافية. I'm Nermin Saade. I'm from LWF. LWF is INGO in Jordan. We work in Jordan and in Syria and Lebanon and Iraq and also Palestine. We work in protection and social cohesion and work in livelihood and work in equality service. Today I will talk about mental health because it's maybe I'm a psychologist. I will focus on mental health. I will start to talk about what the important to talk about mental health and social media, especially in cinema and film. We work in Zaatari, and I have a lot of maybe comment. I wish it will be useful to you. In Zaatari, we work in a mental health working group and a protection working group. All of NGO in Zaatari joined this working group. We have a lot of major problem. We put a lot of plan to refugee. For example, we face a lot of PTSD and sleep problem and sleep disorder. Also, we put a developed plan for a suicide for refugee. We have a lot of attempt of suicide or suicide in Zaatari. Or in other camp, as Malik mentioned. So I talked to this point because it's very important. We need a lot of media focus to this point. We need also, when you think about this, if you can join the psychologist or psychiatric technical person to make a very good film and media for this. Also, we faced, we have a Gaza situation and COVID and earthquake in Syria. We a lot of time have a new situation, a new crisis, and inshallah, everything will be okay. But we don't know what will be happened tomorrow or next week. So, as a mental health. INGO, we work in psychological resilience to refugee and Jordanian also. So we need to develop a film and media and content focus on psychological resilience to people. Also, I would focus on the psychological resilience for service provider, counselor, staff staff in INGO, كمان the psychological resilience for الصحفيين، كمان على المصورين. يمكن احنا كثير هلا بنشوف كل الاعلام اللي عم بتغطى بغزة، بس ما عم نركز أكثر أو ما عم نعمل تركيز أكثر على الوضع النفسي والحالة الصحية للصحفيين والإعلاميين والمخرجين وحتى الكتاب المحتوى. ك LWF now focus on the well-being program for service provider. It's a very important when now we talk about the quality of service to refugee. I think the LWF think we should focus on the psychological and the psychological resilience for the staff and the service provider before the refugee. So we don't talk about the quality of service. After a long time of Syria crisis or Palestine or Iraq, or we should focus on the quality of service. We focus now LWF for the well-being for staff and the service provider. If we can make a lot of recommendation for that. I think a lot of us now have a psychological maybe issue after the Gaza media, all of us we watch. And I will mention to every crisis, after every crisis we have a lot of issue faces. It's like child marriage, early child marriage, and suicide, as I mentioned, and the education, as Malik mentioned, is affect. We have a lot of a problem as INGO in camp. We try to solve all of this. After a lot of meeting we hold in Zaatari camp, the summary is we will focus on the well-being of the refugee and the quality service from the service provider. That's the main point we should focus on. Then the refugee or the human or anyone, if any crisis, to me, I can handle if I have the mental health awareness and if I have a good basic need, and if I have the basic, it's the basic job and money and awareness. If I have the job and the money without awareness, without the mental health, it will be not useful. There is a lot we can focus on, but we choose as LWF today focus on mental health. There are not a lot of concern of my head, but I will focus on this. And we have some of photo from our work as LWF. And after this photo, we have video from LWF as a Mental Health World Day. As LWF, we didn't celebrate on this Mental Health Day because it's not logic to celebrate or in 16 days or in mental health or on today and the right day. I think they will support us to show the video for the mental health. If you have any question after the video, I will be here.
تخطيت كثير من الصعوبات كثير، في شغلات هسه يوم برجع مثلا بيني وبين نفسي بقول الحمد لله اللي كنت شجاعة لهالدرجة اللي قدرت أتخطاها.
بدي أسأل هذا داخل الكامب بتعملوا لهم programs بتساعد كل مجموعة بيكون في لها بروجرام، لما هي بتقول أنا فخورة بنفسي إلى آخره، بتكونوا أنتوا ساعدتوها تعمل المشروع محدد ولا أنتوا بتطرحوا المشروع؟ بالعربي فيكي تجاوبيني، في حدا يترجم للصبايا الثلاثة؟
LWF في عنا 2 سنتر بزعتري كامب. السنتر الأول عم نحكي عنه هو في عنا ورشة خياطة، هم سيدات هم خياطات معنا بالورشة، عم ننتج بيبي كيت، سكول يونيفورم، توتي باج، فهم سيدات خياطات معنا بالورشة.
So the program is held at the camp. So LWF, they have a working progress for the women working in the camp. So they created a tailor workshop and they create tote bags and shopping bags.
School uniform or baby kit.
School uniform and baby needs. So these are graduates from the program and this is their witnesses after the program. So they made them more productive. They worked more on their social outcome and economical outcome.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I have a question. Do you have local psychologists and psychiatrists, or يعني WF hired, or you subcontract?
Yeah. We have a protection team. One of our team is a psychologist. She have a license from the Ministry of Health in Jordan. But yeah, we have a psychologist from our team.
So you don't have any affiliation with outsourced psychologists?
Sorry?
يعني ما عندكم يعني ما بتشتغلوا مع حدا من برا انه يجوا مثلا على بشكل اسبوعي او بشكل شهري غير من الموظفين صح؟
We have our team. بس
Only your team.
Yes. بس إذا احتاجنا حدا متخصص نحتاج. بس إذا احنا احتاجنا psychiatric لصرف الدواء أو شيء, yes, we refer to other.
I'm going to translate my questions. And do you have a healthcare unit, يعني a mental healthcare unit? يعني people who try to get suicide or they want to whatever, an addict or whatever, usually they have to be put in a place where they get to take care of their safety and their security. Is there any mental
health and protection
not program, a facility, يعني مثلا مستشفى أو عيادة يحافظ عليهم؟
No. It's a community. It's a government rules.
Okay. Thank you. So I just asked about if they have a facility for the. Only if it's needed, they ask for expert help upon the need. Thank you.
رح نكمل مع ال ARDD Legal Aid اللي تفضلوا. بس تعرفوا عن حالكم شو التخصص بليز.
شكرا جميعا. أنا اسمي رامي قويدر، مستشار قانوني في منظمة النهضة العربية الديمقراطية التنمية. My name is Rami Qweder. I'm legal lawyer and legal consultant with Arab Renaissance for Democracy and Development. Excuse me, I will speak in Arabic. Okay. طبعا على المايك شغال. تمام. طبعا زملائي من برضو من منظمة النهضة العربية، الأستاذة فاطمة أمارة والأستاذ حسام كوكش والأستاذ عمر أبو بكر، محامين أيضا كمان ومستشارين قانونيين في المنظمة. طبعا شكرا أستاذة سوسن وشكرا كرامة الأفلام حقوق الإنسان على هاي التنظيم هاي الفعالية. بداية اسمحوا لي بعجالة أعرف عن منظمتنا. منظمة النهضة العربية الديمقراطية والتنمية هي منظمة أردنية محلية غير ربحية، أسست عام 2008. بتعمل على العديد من المحاور اللي لها علاقة بمجالات حقوق الإنسان وتنمية المجتمع. بتركز في مواضيعها على التنمية والمساعدة القانونية والإغاثة، بالإضافة إلى المشاريع الأخرى اللي لها علاقة بحقوق الإنسان بشكل عام والمرأة والطفل. طبعا احنا فريقنا جزء من فريقنا يتكون هو قسم المساعدة القانونية المتكون من 30 محامي متخصصين منتشرين في مختلف محافظات المملكة، في سواء كانوا في عندنا مكتب في المفرق وإربد والزرقاء والكرك ومكتب عمان، بالإضافة إن احنا المكتب القانوني الوحيد الموجود داخل بيقدم خدماته القانونية المجانية داخل مخيمات اللجوء في مخيم الزعتري وكذلك في مخيم الأزرق.
رح أقطعك لحظة. لا ما حنترجم كل شيء، بس أهم شيء إنه هن they are a legal team and they are the only legal team that has an office and a base in the base camp, and this is I think since 2012 or 13. Yes. Yeah, 2013. So now what we are interested in with the ARDD team to know more about what are the legal efforts and plans that they implement inside the camps, and from there we can decide or deduct what are the important issues that we are going to be looking at.
طبعا إذا بدنا نحكي بشكل خاص على طبيعة الخدمات القانونية اللي احنا بنقدمها داخل المخيمات بشكل رئيسي، طبعا احنا خدماتنا بتنقسم لثلاث انواع من الخدمات. الخدمة القانونية اللي هي عبارة عن الاستشارة القانونية المجانية من خلال محامين متخصصين. ايضا كمان في خدمة التمثيل القانوني، اذا شخص بيحتاج انه يكون في محامي امام المحاكم بتم توفير محامي يترافع عنه امام المحاكم، وكل خدماتنا حتى مع التكاليف الرسوم القضائية بتم تخطيطها من قبل المنظمة. والخدمة الثالثة واللي هي دائما هاي بنركز عليها وجدا مهمة اللي هي التوعية القانونية. بنركز دائما على مجال التوعية خصوصا فيما يتعلق بالقوانين الأردنية اللي بتمس حياة اللاجئين والأفراد بشكل مباشر، وهي والأفراد بيكونوا واللاجئين على تماس مباشر معهم. طبعا احنا يعني لما نحكي عن الخدمات القانونيه بنحكي عن كل القوانين الاردنيه اللي لها علاقه، ولكن انا بدي اتحدث بهاي الجزئيه بشكل خاص داخل المخيم على موضوع جدا مهم، اللي هو موضوع التوثيق والوثائق الخاصه باللاجئين. طبعا منذ بدايه الازمه السوريه بال 2011 بشكل خاص بكل تاكيد كان هناك تنبه على انه المجتمع اللاجئين هو مجتمع حيوي، في بمجرد انتقاله لاي دوله اخرى ومجرد دخوله للاراضي الاردنيه بكل تاكيد هو راح يمارس حياته، راح يكون في وقوعات حيويه زي الزواج، زي الطلاق، زي الوفاه، زي شهادات ميلاد او عفوا وحدوث مواليد. وبالتالي كان لابد من اتخاذ اجراءات قانونيه عديده. طبعا احنا لما نحكي احنا بشكل خاص على شهادات الميلاد لانه القانون الاردني، قانون الاحوال المدنيه الاردني بيحكي عن اي شخص يولد على الاراضي الاردنيه بغض النظر عن الجنسيه تصدر له دائره الاحوال المدنيه الاردنيه شهاده ميلاد. وبالتالي لما بدات الحمله في هذا الجانب وتعزيز وتوعيه الاشخاص الغير اردنيين على انه تستطيعوا الحصول على شهاده ميلاد لمواليدكم التي ولدوا على الاراضي الاردنيه، ظهرت عده تحديات في هذا الجانب. إحدى هذه التحديات عدم وجود وثائق مع الأب والأم، أو عدم وجود عقود زواج موثقة بشكل أصولي أمام المحاكم المختصة. أيضا كمان قد يكون هناك إشكالية أنه مغادرة الأب بعد فترة أو عودته أو سفره. وبالتالي طبعا أهمية شهادة الميلاد وزي ما الكل بيعرف هي أول وثيقة بحصل عليها الإنسان، وبنبنى عليها كثير أمور قانونية وحقوقية مستقبلا للطفل. وبدون هاي الوثيقة قد يصبح الشخص معرض أنه يكون تحت خطر انعدام الجنسية، خصوصا في فئة اللاجئين لأنهم أكثر فئة ممكن معرضة لهذا الخطر. بالتالي كان من ضمن الإجراءات اللي صارت واشتغلنا عليها بالمنظمة بالتعاون مع طبعا بالتنسيق وأكيد بالمفوضية السامية لشؤون اللاجئين والحكومة الأردنية سواء كانت دائرة قاضي القضاء أو الأحوال المدنية ووزارة الداخلية. تم عمل عدة حملات للتوعية. أيضا كمان تم إعفائهم من مجموعة من القوانين اللي كانت ممكن أن تشكل صعوبة، خصوصا فيما يتعلق بتوثيق عقود الزواج، لأنه حسب القانون الأردني أي وثيقة زواج خارج المحاكم الأردنية أو خارج الطرق الرسمية القانونية بترتب عليها إجراءات قانونية، منها الغرامات ومنها إعادة التوثيق. فكان هناك فترة إعفاءات نفذت مرتين اللي بيتم مقابل توثيق عقود الزواج وتصويب أوضاعهم حتى يتم بعدين إصدار شهادات الميلاد. أيضا كمان من ضمن الخطوات المهمة اللي تم اتخاذها داخل المخيمات هو التسهيل على اللاجئين وصول للخدمات المختلفة، ومنها ومن أهمها وجود محكمة داخل المخيم ووجود قاضي أيضا كمان متخصص في أمور تتعلق بالزواج والطلاق، قاضي من دائرة قاضي القضاء، حتى يسهل عليهم الوصول الى الاجراءات والتوثيق الاجراءاتهم. ايضا تم انتداب موظف من دائره الاحوال المدنيه داخل المخيم حتى يستلم كل المعاملات ويتم اصدار الوثائق المطلوبه زي شهادات ميلاد او شهاده الوفاه، ويتم اعادتها للمخيم وتزويدها لاصحاب العلاقه. فكان هاي كمان ايضا جزء مهم لتسهيل حصولهم على هذه الخدمات المختلفة سواء من القطاع الحكومي أو وجود محامي أيضا كمان يشرح لهم شو الإجراءات يتحقق من وثائقهم الصحيحة ويساعدهم بتنظيم هذه الوثائق. أيضا كمان التحدي الآخر اللي صار إنه بعد ما تم تصويب الأوضاع أيضا كمان في تحدي اللي هو موضوع الدخول بأسماء غير صحيحة، أو كان في إشكالية في هذا الجانب. طبعا كان في إصدار اللي هي البطاقة الخاصة بالجالية السورية اللي بيتم إصدارها من وزارة الداخلية كوثيقة تعريف أو كوثيقة يتم استعمالها أمام الدوائر الحكومية، خصوصا أنه في كثير العدد منهم كثير لا يحمل جوازات السفر معاه كان نتيجة الظروف اللي صارت والظروف الإنسانية ودخولهم عبر المعابر غير رسمية. وبالتالي إصدار هاي الوثيقة أيضا سهلت عليهم الحصول على مختلف الخدمات. ولكن في موضوع اختلاف الأسماء أو الدخول بأسماء غير صحيحة تم تشكيل لجنة من خلال بالتعاون مع المفوضية والجهات الرسمية المختلفة لأي شخص دخل باسم غير صحيح ويرغب بتصويب أوضاعه بتم تصويب أوضاعه وتعديل كل وثائقه بناء على الاسم الصحيح.
One of the biggest obstacles that we faced in the camps, that a lot of the refugees who entered the camps, they had different names than their original names. They came with different names. So in coordination and cooperation with UNCHR and the local government institution, we worked on correction the situation of these refugees and in order to issue legal papers for them with their original names.
طبعا كمان احنا اللي قمنا فيه جزء من هذا الشيء كان من ضمنها حملات المناصرة والتوعية ورصد الحالات كيف بتتم وكيف التحديات اللي كانت تواجه المحامين فيما يتعلق بالتوثيق وتصويب الأوضاع. أيضا كمان إحنا كمنظمة فيما يتعلق بشهادات الميلاد بشكل خاص، حسب قانون الأحوال المدنية أي طفل بنولد على الأراضي الأردنية زي ما حكينا هو يحصل على شهادة ميلاد، ولكن إذا تعدى عمره العام يحتاج أنه يقيم دعوة في المحكمة. فهذا كمان أيضا في أشخاص أخذت منهم وقت عبين ما تم تصويب أوضاعهم أو عرفوا أنه بيطلع له يحصل على شهادة ميلاد، وبالتالي تعدى عمر الطفل أكثر من سنة، بالتالي لازم يروح على المحكمة. بالنسبة للاجئين من حيث التكلفة ومن حيث المعرفة القانونية كان تحدي كبير، لهذا أطلقنا حملة إحنا بدأت بال 2017 بالتعاون مع المفوضية السامية لشؤون اللاجئين، انه بيتم توفير محامي حتى يقيم هاي الدعاوى بالمجان، او ممكن الشخص نفسه هو، وهذا نوع من الجزء اللي احنا بنتبعه كنهج في المؤسسة اللي هو التمكين القانوني للأفراد، انه يمارس المرحلة او الرحلة القانونية بشكل مباشر حتى يتمكن ويعرف الإجراءات ويكون ممكن قانونيا. فكان جزء من الحملة انه بتم تغطية التكاليف المالية، بتم تحضير ملف الدعوة مقابل أنه يروح على المحكمة ويقيم دعوة ويحصل على قرار من المحكمة بتثبيت قيد مولوده، ثم يعود إلى دائرة الأحوال المدنية ويصدر شهادة ميلاد، وبتم تغطية كافة المصاريف من بداية إقامة الدعوة لحين إصدار شهادة الميلاد.
ثواني أستاذ. One of the biggest support that we provide for the refugees is we help them because especially for the children above 1 year old that they have to go to court to register the child. So we give them the full legal support and the capacity and to legally empower the refugees in there. So we cover the costs. They go to the court, they get their papers done, and they come and register their child.
طبعا هذا كان جزء من حملتنا اللي بدأت بال 2017. إذا على الأرقام والإحصائيات بشهادات الميلاد ما مش متوفرة حاليا قديش إحنا قدمنا الحالات، لأنه ما زلنا مستمرين، ولكن بشكل عام بال 2021 تقريبا هاي الآخر إحصائية صدرت إنه إحنا قدمنا خدمات لأكثر من 136 ألف مستفيد، خدمات قانونية مختلفة من كل الجنسيات، سواء كانوا أردنيين أو غير أردنيين، سواء كانوا لاجئين أو عمالة مهاجرة أيضا. عفوا. فهذا جزء من الخدمات اللي احنا بنقدمها. طبعا احنا ما بنقدم خدمات فقط فيما يتعلق بشهادة الميلاد، ولكن احنا حبيت احكي بس بشهادات الميلاد تحديدا لانه هي اكثر موضوع مهم وبترتب عليه خطورات، ولكن اكيد في هناك اشكاليات قانونية وتحديات قانونية اخرى. زي ما حكينا هو مجتمع حيوي بده يستأجر بيت خارج المخيم، إذا طلع خارج المخيم ممكن يشتغل، وبالتالي هون ممكن يخلق عنده إشكالية قانونية. مهم جدا المعرفة القانونية. الحقيقة من خلال تجربتنا.
أستاذ معلش sorry. It's not also we don't only work with certificates, birth certificates, but this is our biggest obstacles. We also support and not only refugees. We have supported for 650,000 people among Jordanian, non-Jordanian refugees, all these legal services, and mostly what we do as a legal awareness and protection and empowering for the refugees in case they wanted to go outside the refugee camp for renting, for schooling, buying, finding work, whatever. So it's like a holistic legal program.
طبعا من خلال خبرتنا في هذا المجال وتعاملنا بشكل مباشر مع اللاجئين خصوصا في مجال التوعية القانونية، وجدنا أنه الحاجة لديهم للتوعية القانونية لا تقل عن أي حاجة أخرى من احتياجاتهم المعيشية، لأنه المعرفة القانونية والتوعية القانونية هو جزء أساسي ومهم. والنقطة الأولى للحماية، النقطة الأولى لقدرتهم على التعايش، قدرتهم على الانخراط في المجتمع، فهم طبيعة القوانين وحمايتهم من التعرض لأي إشكاليات قانونية، لأنه اللاجئ هو محمي بموجب القانون الدولي من الإبعاد، ولكن وجوده على أي دولة داخل أي دولة هو أيضا كمان ملزم بتطبيق القوانين بما له وعليه من واجبات وحقوق. فكان جزء جدا هم ركز على الورش والتوعية القانونية كمان في هذا الجانب.
empowering the refugees on the legal side is a mandate that it has to be done and has to be succeeded, because the international laws, they protect the refugees from being expelled, but they have to be abided to the laws of each country. So it's a need to be, it's a basic need for them as food and shelter and so on, to be empowered legally so they know their rights, how to deal with things, and to have it as a basic knowledge like education and so on.
طبعا الجانب الآخر من طبيعة الخدمات أو المشاريع اللي قدمناها نحكي على الجانب التنموي. الجانب التنموي طبعا كمنظمة أيضا كمان بنتيجة الظروف اللي عم بتصير وقلة التمويل اللي عم بيصير، فبالتالي كان لابد من، خصوصا فيما يتعلق بالمساعدات العاجلة والكاش اسيستنت أو الفود اسيستنت، كان لابد من أنه نجد حلول على قدر الإمكانية طبعا فيما يتعلق في الجانب التنموي، اللي هو زي ما حكى الأستاذ منكير أنه في موضوع المشاريع المستدامة أو خلينا نحكي المساعدة المستدامة. فكان عندنا مشاريع وما زالت مستمرة بتتعلق بالتعاون والشراكة مع القطاع الخاص، وهذا جزء كان أنه أنشأنا حاضنات أعمال على سبيل المثال ومشاريع صغيرة للأردنيين وغير الأردنيين، أصحاب المشاريع اللي عندهم مشاريع صغيرة وبحاجة لدعم، وكان بالتنسيق مع القطاع الخاص. أيضا كمان كمشروع فيما يتعلق بالتدريب المنتهي بالتشغيل، فكان عندنا مع تدريبات تتعلق بأعمال الفندقة والكوافير وحتى على مستوى العمل المنزلي أيضا كمان تم تدريبهم وتوعيتهم بالقوانين ذات العلاقة في هذا الجانب، مساعدتهم على التسجيل واتخاذ الإجراءات القانونية وتصويب وضعهم بشكل صحيح.
شكرا أستاذ، وقت يعني عم بيدهمنا، رح أعمل سريع. We had a partnership with local community, local work and private sector in terms of empowering them, so training to get jobs at the end in hairdressing, tailoring and so ever. Thank you so much Art. We're gonna move
بس
on.
مداخلة أخيرة، طبعا هذه جزء من يعني وبعجالة طبيعة الخدمات. طبعا خدماتنا أكثر من مشاريع عندنا. طبعا إحنا الشريك القانوني مع المفوضية السامية لشؤون اللاجئين من 2010 حتى هذه اللحظة، ومستمرين إن شاء الله في تقديم الخدمة القانونية في هذا الجانب بالتعاون مع المفوضية وتوفير الحماية قدر المستطاع في هذا الجانب. شكرا.
شكرا. Their main partners من UNHCR.
شكرا أستاذ رامي. ما بعرف تحبوا في أسئلة محددة لأرض؟ في عنا يعني شكرا لحضوركم، تيم كامل موجود، في تفاصيل بتعنيكم، في تفاصيل بتعني طبيعة شغلكم.
Any questions that related to your work and your subspecialty?
Please.
Oh, Annie.
Annie, come forward.
Come, Annie, join us here.
Join us here so we can hear.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. I'm wondering if you're doing any work with women and girls, especially in refugee camps. You have a lot of issues of early marriage, so I'd like to know more if you're doing anything in that area and whether you're doing any work outside refugee camps as well. Because there are lots of urban refugees who are suffering also from so many other issues because they are urban refugees. So what kind of work you're doing with them? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Actually, about the working with women, we have many programs to empowerment, women empowerment, children empowerment. Also, we have some platforms to discuss this issue, and we have advocacy for changing some laws, maybe affect on women's rights and women protect. Inside the camp also there is many programs, awareness programs about women's rights and children's, and awareness about the age marriage and the protection of this side to, we can say, to avoid any early marriage inside the camp. And there is different, we can say, different programs and activities for advocacy and research. Also, we have also a big center for separate center for research, especially for women. And we have also working about women in peace, about the UN resolution in women and peace. We are together with the Women Union to development this way in Jordan in general. Thank you.
Thank you. More questions for Art? Okay. So, yes? Please, can you join us here?
So good morning, and thanks for sharing your insight about the work you do. My question is more legal based, and I would like to ask which are the obstacles, if any, that your work has to face in relation to Jordan not being a state party to the 1951 Geneva Convention?
I will answer this question in Arabic, okay? موضوع عدم مصادقة الأردن على اتفاقية ال51 الخاصة بأوضاع اللاجئين هو فعليا ما بيسبب أي عائق في موضوع تقديم الخدمات القانونية أو توفير الحماية للاجئين. ليش؟ لأنه بداية الأردن هو ليس مصادق على الاتفاقية، نعم صحيح، ولكنه مصادق على العديد من الاتفاقيات الدولية الأخرى. تفضل.
Jordan has considered the other. I think I need conventions, well, not specifically with Geneva Convention, but still Jordan abides with what's come within the Geneva Convention. I don't know if this answers your question.
Okay. وأيضا كمان مصادقة على سبيل المثال العهد الدولي للحقوق المدنية والسياسية والإعلان العالمي لحقوق الإنسان والعهد الدولي للحقوق الاقتصادية، بالإضافة إلى اتفاقيات حقوق الطفل واتفاقية حقوق المرأة. وبالتالي هي كلها تتحدثت عن اللاجئين وحمايتهم ببعض المواد اللي وردت فيها.
أنا ما بعرف يعني بس رح أحاول بس إذا هتساعدني. So basically Jordan has endorsed the اتفاقيات حقوق المرأة, the Women's Rights Memorandum of Understanding. Civil Rights.
And the Convention of the Political and Civil Rights and political a Convention of the Economic and المدنية والاقتصادية الاجتماعية Convention of the
Social Responsibility.
Yes. So and again
social protection.
This is for the international legal frame Jordan ratified, and there is many different convention Jordan ratified it mentioned in their articles about refugees.
In the second مكتوب من القوانين اللي حطتها نصتها الأردن من هاي الاتفاقيات مجموعة ومعمولة للأردن.
In the same time, if we looking to the legal national legal frame from the constitution and other laws, there is many articles mention about humanitarian people and humanitarian issue and refugees who's enter in Jordan for humanitarian reasons, how they deal with this. Also, there is a memorandum of understanding between UNHCR and Jordan government. It's the same from the convention, just only things that there is no, for example, resettlement or something, but they are in the memorandum of understanding mention about protection, deportation, not deportation, any refugees, the right of work, and so on, so what every rights about refugees in Jordan. So the memorandum of understanding between UNHCR and Jordan, it's very important. And at the same time, there is many, we can say, announcement and regulation issued by the government about the situation for refugees and protect their rights and correct the situation. This is legally issuing by the government. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Please.
Good afternoon. So my question
One question, please. Can everyone just introduce what their institution and what their work, so we can relate all together and have like more networking with each other, if you don't mind. Thank you so much.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Laura. I am an Italian volunteer for an Italian NGO, and through that I operate in جمعية خطوتنا, our staff organization in Rusaifa, which operates on the mental health of Jordanians with mental disabilities and non-Jordanians as well. So my question relates to what was said before. I was also wondering, and particularly I direct my question to Ustad Malek. I was wondering, since indeed Jordan has not ratified the 1951 convention, I believe, I imagine that the role of the civil society in promoting all rights for refugees is particularly important, but I was wondering specifically, what is the role of CARE and other civil society organizations in promoting and enhancing the right to movement and directly connected to the right of work and the right of education? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for this question. In my presentation, I did not say any word about what CARE is doing and what other organizations are offering. It was mainly focused on the challenges we are facing. But CARE International is part of the bigger INGO world who responded more than 10 years ago to the Syrian crisis, and before that the Iraqi crisis, etc. For CARE International, we are operating in different locations. We are providing direct services to refugees, Jordanians, and refugees are from different nationalities in the north of Jordan, in different governorates, and in camps we are only operating in Azra camp for refugees by managing 4 community centers, and the role of community centers is essential. It was established since day one of Azra camp and plays a role of networking between refugees, and also providing an accommodation for other organizations who do not have actual presence in the camp to deliver their services directly to refugees over there. What we do over there is mainly categorized under the community-based protection and community-based livelihood interventions. So you will find psychosocial support services, case management and referral, information provision, vocational trainings, complaints and feedback mechanism, and other type of activities that we are running. On a daily basis, we are providing more than 100 services, and services are unique because it is provided in the different 4 villages in Azra camp. And it is, although it is one camp, but the needs of refugees who reside in each village is a bit different than others. In Azra camp, villages are called in numbers, so we have village 2, 3, 5, and 6. Village 3 in Azra camp was the first to receive refugees. So those who are there are mainly receiving, in 2023 and 2024, are mainly receiving a more advanced type of services, a more development focused services related to enhancing, as our colleagues from LWF mentioned, the well-being of refugees. They are receiving a more tailored activities to ensure they have access to job opportunities, to link them to work permits, to go outside of the camp, because they received everything in the past 10 years. Comparing that to refugees in village 5, which is the closed village of Azra camp, where refugees have a more or less limited movement due to many concerns. The services over there is totally different, where we are focused on providing basic services, because refugees over there, they do not have access at all to job opportunities, to the market, or the well-being, and the more development type of services is not a concern for them. Over there, refugees are mainly concerned into going to school, into getting a job inside the village, into having a more freedom of movement or other type of services. So inside the camp, the services are different, and also outside the camp, the services are different. In the camp, there are 25 NGOs operating there. There is a hospital, 4 clinics, or now 3 clinics. There are sports grounds, vocational training sites, many schools over there. As our colleagues from ARDD mentioned, the court and other legal services are also provided over there. And all organizations are working in collaboration, where we are ensuring on a monthly basis, using the different working groups and camp coordination meeting, to avoid any duplication of services, especially with the lack of support, the financial support to NGOs inside camps. We are doing our best to avoid overlapping of services and targeting as many refugees as possible with the projects we are implementing over there. 2014, all activities were implemented by aid workers, Jordanian and international aid workers inside the camp. 2023, 100% of activities are implemented by Syrian refugees over there. And aid workers are stepping back, mainly providing the, if needed, capacity building, reporting, and also the fundraising part. But most or all activities are provided regardless of the sector. It is provided there, and this is our role that we've been playing as CARE and other NGOs since years in the camp, and mainly the milestone was 2016, when we all agreed at that moment that giving ownership should be the main task of NGOs, while not abandoning refugees over there. So it is not handing over and leaving, because this will make things worse over there. But it's more of ensuring that everything is done by the local community, because they have the experience. Thank you.
في حدا بده يسأل سؤال؟ تفضلي.
بس يمكن بتساعدي لترجمة من الفرنسي للعربي والإنجليزي.
تعرفوا عن نفسكم بس بليز. تفضلي.
اسمي ريما حسن. أنا I'm Palestinian. I was born in a refugee camp in Narab camp in Syria. Now I'm lawyer in Paris. هلا بدي أحكي شوي بالفرنسي، بديت بس ترجمي لي. En France, je suis présidente fondatrice de l'Observatoire des camps de réfugiés, qui est une ONG qui documente les camps à travers le monde.
Doucement, Rima, doucement. Doucement. Mais tu parles vite, hein? Doucement, on n'est pas francophone.
C'est lui qui va traduire. Okay. Vas-y.
Je préside une ONG qui fait des études sur tous les camps à travers le monde, et on a fait des études sur le camp de Azraq, de Zaatari, de plusieurs camps en Jordanie.
I'm president of an association that is working with refugees in Azraq, in Zaatari, in other places.
المنظمة بتعمل دراسة على المخيمات بالعالم. المنظمة تعمل دراسات.
En français, tu peux parler en français, pas de problème.
C'est une organisation qui fait des études sur tous les camps à travers le monde.
It's an organization that makes studies about all the refugee camps or camps in the world.
La question que je voulais juste, j'ai 2 remarques. La première, c'est que dans ce genre d'événement, toute ma vie, moi je suis réfugiée d'un camp, il n'y a jamais les voix des personnes qui vivent dans les camps. C'est rare, c'est toujours les organisations ou les Nations Unies ou les États.
In this situation, we never have the opportunity to have voices from the camp. It's always the organization of the camps, or the organization who run the camps, but never the voices of the people who lives in the camps. And she's an example because she's a refugee living in a camp.
Deuxième remarque, sur l'aspect légal, le problème qu'on a dans les camps, c'est que les camps aujourd'hui, il y a 30% des réfugiés dans le monde qui vivent dans les camps. Et le camp est la seule solution sur la question des réfugiés qui n'est pas encadrée juridiquement. Et c'est ça le problème en réalité, c'est qu'on a des pays comme la Jordanie qui ne sont pas signataires de la Convention de Genève de 1951, mais qui se retrouvent de fait dans un vide juridique sur la question des camps, Parce que le camp
Yes,
n'est
yes.
pas
The problem is most host countries that they have refugee camps, they are not signing or they didn't sign the convention. And this is problematic because they have 33 or 30% of the refugees in their countries.
يعني 30% اللاجئين بالعالم عايشين بالمخيمات.
مم.
هذا هو الموضوع. الموضوع أن المخيم le camp n'est pas défini dans aucune convention internationale.
The camp is not defined in any international convention.
المشكلة هون لأنه on n'a pas de définition donc de cet espace et donc les camps sont devenus les camps sont devenus en fait sur le long terme des espaces qui ne sont plus des espaces de protection parce qu'ils ne sont pas définis.
With time the refugee camps became not a place to protect refugees
mais des espaces où les gens sont très vulnérables parce que justement il n'y a pas de définition internationale du camp. Un camp de réfugiés syriens au Liban n'est pas le même qu'un camp de réfugiés syriens en Jordanie ou en Turquie et ça c'est lié au fait qu'il n'y a pas de définition internationale. Donc la question c'est que j'aimerais savoir sur l'aspect légal, est-ce qu'on défend un plaidoyer pour définir le camp juridiquement? Merci.
But she wanted to know how we can defend the camp because they don't have the voices to present in legally how we can protect the camps.
يعني بالعربي إذا في فراغ قانوني وفراغ قضائي كيف ممكن يصير في حماية بقلب هذا الكامب بما أنه ما في تعريف مش قادرين يتم تعريفه حسب الجنيفا كونفنشن. الحقيقة صعب شوي سؤالك وشوي خارج موضوعنا بس لازم نفكر فيه وممكن ناخذ على فكرة استشارة قانونية واضحة من جماعة ARDD لأنهم هن كتير يعني محددين وجدا ناشطين بهذا الموضوع. أنا رح أسأل سؤال تاني مهم بهمني بهي قالته قالت إنه عادة ما في أصوات الناس اللي هن موجودين بقلب الريفوجي كامبس مشان نعرف هن شو حابين. نحن اليوم اجتماعنا نحن معتبرينه مش اجتماع فورمال على فكرة يعني هو غير رسمي مشان أول شيء نتحدث عن كل خبرة كل شخص موجود هون ولاحظي عنا خليط نحن. So we have entities يعني organizations and we have individuals who also worked in that and we have activists. هلا we need their experience and their information. Then the second step is a round table with filmmakers and with people from the refugee camps themselves where we're going to talk to each other and see what are their needs. The needs that we need to know today are very important from very key persons who are real workers on the field. They are not organizations who are very snob and and outside the wavelength. These people have really worked in there. I have a very nice experience with ARDD in 2013 where we went and documented all the refugees who went into Jordan and they were living inside the houses of people in Irbid and in Ramsa before even having the opportunity to go into the camps. We had beautiful photography, but at the same time very sad, and we were documenting the integration and the very nice, amazing relationship that happened like this in that. So today we are here to try to help each other and find, you know, key questions that will benefit this project that we are very proud of. I will remember what we said just a second. So Malik, it is very important for us to know when you said the phrase that a whole family is living in the shelter doing nothing. So you said, imagine what will happen with a whole family living in a shelter that we couldn't see and we didn't see behind us, and what will happen for this family psychologically. This is important for us because we want to know what are the kinds of films or advocacy or advice that we'll give through the tool. A second point, not with Malik, another point that is important to us is when LWF said that you are working and dealing with suicide cases. So عنا نقطتين، عنا المكان المنفصل والمنفرد المغلق يلي موجود، يلي حكى عنه مالك واللي هو خطير جدا مشان نعرف كيف ممكن نعالجه through فيلم. وعنا نقطة مهمة جدا قالوها LWF انه في حالات انتحار، فنحن هون بيكون كاعلاميين وفيلم ميكرز ودوكيومنتاليست ممكن نعمل شيء فيها. وعنا النقطة الثالثة اللي حكوها ARDD يلي هي التوثيق ل مين اجا ومين طلع ومين رجع. فنحن بالنسبة لنا هون بيكون عنا from the documentation of ARDD we can have access of how many children and families and youngsters we have there, so we can have like an overview of our target audience. Sorry, today I'm being very pragmatic. I want to know the information that are related to how we're going to go to these people and give them the best. These three keys I'm reminding you of, so if you want to base your questions on, إذا بدكم تحطوا أسئلة على هدول الثلاث نقاط. وبعد هاي اللحظة في عنا ديما اللي هي اكتيفيست وبنفس الوقت تشتغل مع الريفيوجيز، ديما حمدان، واشتغلت بالزعتري عن النيدز والدريمز اوف ريفيوجيز بدها تحكي عنهم. وبعدها في عنا كلاوديا موريني اللي هي بدها تحكي عن gender abuse and protection of refugee in cinema. وفي عنا كمان نيكولا زامبيلي اللي هو Nicola worked on a film for a prolonged period of 10 years. So he was in a situation where he filmed, and then he came back 10 years later to a very vulnerable place where he filmed again, that he will be talking also about. And we have Sadaqa. Mahmoud Sadaqa, who is a friend who worked with us in refugee camp and outside refugee camps in 2016 with Syrian cases of شو ذوي الاحتياجات الخاصة?
Special needs.
Okay, with special needs. Actually with people عندهم مشاكل بالأطراف المبتورة. يعني
with imputed parts, especially with imputed parts.
Yeah, with imputed parts, and we also had great interventions together through Al Badr Center for refugees and for problems with amputated parts. So we have a choice: either we continue talking, or you have a very brief cigarette and coffee and we come back. شو بدكم؟ ما حدا بيقبل شيء ديمقراطي أبدا.
I think let's continue because we have started a little bit late and then we can have more time and leisure for the break. Sure. What do you think?
Okay. No, they are voting here 10 minutes break, 5 minutes break.
5 minutes.
Yeah. Because it's a different kind of discussion. Now we have 4 people to talk. عارف قديش طول الفيلم؟ يلا نبلشوا يمكن. اوكي ستارت. يلا started.
We will watch a small film, so we'd like to have your attention please. رح نحضر شيء صغير، فإذا كلنا ننتبه على الشاشة بنكون ممنونين. شكراً.
يلا. بدينا فيلم. يلا. Sound please. Sound.
أنا آسف يا أمي لأن السفينة غرقت بنا ولم أستطع الوصول إلى هناك، كما لن أتمكن من إرسال المبالغ التي استندتها لكي أدفع أجرة الرحلة. لا تحزني يا أمي إن لم يجدوا جثتي، فبما ستفيدك الآن إلا تكاليف نقل وشحن ودفن وعزاء. أنا آسف يا أمي لأن الحرب حلت وكان لابد لي أن أسافر كغيري من البشر، مع العلم أن أحلامي لم تكن كبيرة كالآخرين، فكما تعلمين كل أحلامي كانت بحجم علبة دواء للقولون لك وثمن تصريح أسنانك. أنا آسف يا منزل جميل لأني لن أعلق معطفي خلف بابك. أنا آسف أيها الغواصون والباحثون عن المفقودين، فأنا لا أعرف اسم البحر الذي غرقت فيه. اطمئني يا دائرة اللجوء، فلن أكون حملا ثقيلا عليك. شكرا لك أيها البحر لأنك استقبلتنا بدون فيزا ولا جواز سفر. شكرا للأسماك التي ستتقاسم لحمي ولن تسألني عن أصلي وديني وانتمائي السياسي. شكرا لقنوات الأخبار التي ستتناقل خبر موتنا ل5 دقائق كل ساعة لمدة يومين. شكرا لكم لأنكم ستحزنون علينا عندما تسمعون الخبر. أنا آسف لأني غرقت. شكرا لك أيها البحر لأنك استقبلتنا بدون فيزا ولا جواز سفر. شكرا للأسماك التي ستتقاسم لحمي ولن تسألني عن أصلي ولن تسألني بنيت لك بشرية جميلة كما كنا نشاهد في الأفلام.
Hope you liked the film. I know it's very painful.
طيب, thank you all. We're back and for our second round of discussion. But before we hear from our speakers, I want to give the floor for Ihab Al-Khatib, who's the artistic director of Karama Human Rights Film Festival. Just to go one step back, to remember that we are a human rights film festival and the role of film and the reason why we are all here together, because we work on different levels. We work on, screening for refugees, but also we work for advocacy. We work with the public. We work with decision makers, and film has obviously a role to support what all of you are doing on the ground. تفضل.
رح نرجع هاي بالجولة الثانية بعد البريك. معنا أستاذ إيهاب الخطيب، مخرج وهو الدايركتور، هو المدير الفني للمهرجان. وعم نحكي إحنا هون ليش مهرجان كرامة لحقوق الإنسان، قديش إحنا كموجودين كحقوقيين للإنسان، وقديش دور كل واحد فينا على الأرض بالنسبة تنقدم شو مشاكلنا لحقوق الإنسان واللاجئين من خلال السينما. تفضل أستاذ إيهاب.
أول شيء صباح الخير. أول شيء آسف أنا تأخرت شوي لأنه شوي كنت تعبان، بس بدي أحكي شغلة. أول شيء هذا الفيلم اللي عم نشوف اللي شفناه هو فيلم، أنا سوري بدي أحكي بالعربي، هو فيلم بيلخص كل الفكرة الأساس في موضوع علاقتنا إحنا كصانعين أفلام أو ناس بنشتغل في الفنون، وعلاقتنا في موضوع الأحداث اللي بتحصل حوالينا وخصوصا موضوع اللجوء. هلا احنا بنشتبك عاده من خلال المواضيع اللي احنا دائما بتوصلنا كمهرجان او الاشياء اللي احنا بنحاول نشتغل عنها. لما نشتغل مع موضوع الهويه او نشتغل على اي مشروع دائما نصطدم في موضوع الواقع اللجوء الموجود، وسواء وتحديدا في الاردن، لانه معروف انه الاردن يعني عنده نسبه لاجئين كثير عاليه.
دقيقة أستاذ إيهاب بس. So basically we have screened this film because it concludes what's happening in the refuge in visually, and this is what we're facing when we're working with the identity issues, when we're working in cinema, and especially that Jordan has the biggest number of refugees in يعني هو they're camped here.
هلا الفيلم اللي شفناه قبل شوي هو بيلخص كل فكره يعني كله هو اصلا فيلم احنا اضطرينا نعرضه اليوم، يعني لانه بيلخص العلاقه الاساسيه انه مجموعه احداث حصلت مع لاجئين انعمل منها هذا الفيلم. وحتى هاي الرسائل الموجوده في الفيلم هي رسائل لناس مجهولين، واحنا في الفتره الاخيره في اخر 15 سنه او اخر 13 سنه بديش اقول 15، اجانا كميه كبيره من الافلام اللي بتحكي عن اللجوء، ففكرنا في شيء اسمه السينما اللاجئه، او هيك بلش الاسم، هو السينما الهاربه.
So the main idea behind the cinema in refuge is in the past 13 years we have been receiving a lot of films that are talking about the issues of refugees, and this film is one sample of it. And the narration that these letters are from, there are an actual letters from unknown, unfortunately, refugees, and that's why we became and how to document the refugee cases through cinema.
السينما الهاربة أو السينما اللاجئة كتير بتشبه الحقيبة اللي بنشوفها في مشاهد اللجوء من خلال الأرشيف. هي حقيبة بتحمل الذكريات، بتحمل الحكايات، بتحمل التاريخ الشفوي، بتحمل كل شيء. إحنا حاولنا هلأ لأنه إحنا في عصر كمان عصر السينما، وإحنا عندنا أدوات سينمائية، فبلشنا نقول طيب شو هي السينما؟ السينما ليش دائما مثلا الجزائري لما بكون في الجزائر في فرنسا عايش بعدين برجع بيعمل فيلم من الجزائر عن الجزائر عن قضايا عربية؟ ليش احنا مثلا السوري صار يعمل افلام عن واقعه الاساسي بس طلع من الجغرافيا تاعته؟ فبلشنا نبحث عن فكرة شو يعني السينما اللاجئة. طيب السينما اللاجئة مقسومة قسمين، قسم خاص بما تقدمه السينما وقسم خاص بما تقدمه للاجئ في اماكن اللجوء. فهذا الفلسفة تاعت السينما اللاجئة.
The main philosophy of the cinema in refuge comes in two parts. First of all is what the ايش بنقدم احنا للاجئين، وايش الثاني؟
انه احيانا انت بتقدمي ماده للسينما للاجئين من خلال السينما، واحيانا السينما شو بتحمل من قضايا بتهم اللاجئين.
Okay, so what we provide for the refugees as a content for the refugees through cinema and the visual mediums, and what the issues and discussions and their needs that we deliver through, and we can see the resemblance between the refuge is we have it symbolized in a case that carries all the emotions, that carries all the memories of this, and that's how we see it. And this we've seen a lot of Algerians, even after they live in France, they have made films about their country. They went back to their country. Same for their Syrians, for the Palestinians, the Lebanese. So it's always a case that's been carried all through their journey.
اللي بدي اقوله انا في الاخر انه احنا السينما هي فعل مقاوم، وفعل المقاومه هو كيف انا بقدم ماده اقدر من خلالها انتصر للموضوع اللي انا عم بتعامل معه. وتحديدا احنا قضايانا كلياتها يا اما حروب يا اما لجوء. وفي سنوات كثير من مهرجان كرامه عملنا الحرب واللجوء، عملنا كثير قضايا عن الحروب واللجوء، ولكن في الاخر شكله هذا قدرنا. بس احنا محكومين كمان زي ما بقولوا بالامل انه نضلنا نناضل من اجل انه نقدم اقل ما فيها سينما تحكي عنا، مش الغرب يحكي عنا. هلا في قضيه كثير مهمه بدي احكيها. تفضلي.
عشان ذاكرت السمك. شفت نسيت. اوكي. The cinema is an act of resistance and rebellious. Rebellious is my word. It's resistance, Mr. Zehab's words. And this is
what we are mastering, in fact, to do and to deliver for people. And we have, as a nation, all what we suffered from is war and war crisis and refugee crisis. Maybe this is our destiny, maybe it's not, but we have to be stuck with the hope and to have the hope to deliver. And this is also what we deliver in the cinema.
وأنا هون كمان يعني كتير مهم إنه في مناصرين إلنا لقضايانا في اللجوء، ومعظم الأفلام السنة اللي أجت عنا على كرامة أو في السنوات السابقة كانت من أبطال خفيين أو أبطال حقيقيين أو جنود مجهولين هم من جنسيات مختلفة، من إيطاليا، من فرنسا، من أوروبا، من دول كتير بعيدة عن حتى بعيدة عن حوض البحر المتوسط زي ما بقولوا منطقتنا يعني، عم بيناضلوا من أجلنا في أفلام بيحكوا عنا. طب إحنا ما بنقدر نحكي عن حالنا أو شو المادة اللي لازم نقدمها؟ فاجتماعنا اليوم كان الاجتماع الأساسي عشان إحنا نستفيد من خبراتكم ومن الواقع اللي احنا موجودين فيه، لنقدر نقدم سواء المنتج للاجئ او نحكي عن قضايا اللجوء. شكرا كثير.
So basically we always receive and watch a lot of films about refugees or our cases or whatever crises that are made by hero friends and hidden heroes behind the curtains. They are from Italy, from Europe, or even from places that vary away from the crisis situation and from our region. And there's always a question, why don't we make our own films? Why don't we tell our stories? With high respect, with the biggest support of them, because they deliver our messages to the outside, but still we need, and that's why we are here together, we're meeting, for us to collaborate and to put all the efforts together between the West and us, and to have our messages cleared and for the refuge and for our cause and for our to change our reality.
Thank you. Okay, we will carry on with our program and hopefully we'll be on time. The floor now to Dima. She's an activist and she, I think, have loads of experience, first-hand experience to share with all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So thank you for invitation, and I'm here with my colleague, gentleman Mahmoud Sadaqa. He's also helping me in volunteering on the different work that I will explain now. So now I'm talking with you with two hats. I'm a humanitarian professional working in several NGO and currently working in also a UN based work. In addition to that, I'm also activist in the social, in our local community to help refugees and host community in different aspects, specifically when it's come to the medical needs and fundraise for those cases. I understand that today we are working specifically, our discussion it's about camp. However, just to be in the same page, currently Jordan have around 740,000 refugees, Syrian. Only 20% of them living inside the camp. The rest of 80 are living in the host community, whether rural area or in the urban, which also make a point that the most refugees who's living outside are really suffering with a several lack of donation and fund, in addition to several laws that not allowing them to be completely dependent on themselves. But back to the camp, I would also to be also on the same page to have some classification on the camp. So yes, officially we have Zaatari camp and we have Azraq camp and we have the Emirati camp as well, which is even a small camp, but it still has a good number of refugees there with a specific criteria of selection to be residents in that camp and specific way of managing under the Red Crescent of Qatari, the Emirati Red Crescent. In addition to that, we have also the informal settlement, which is considered also a big issue that we need to consider. So they are still refugees, but they are decided not living inside the formal camp, which means they are not allowed to have the service which the refugees inside the camp has. whether it's a WFP or the food voucher, health education, and several things. And those people or those refugees who are living in the informal settlement are really suffer because they don't have anyone to give them any service. And even the NGOs are not even taking them in consideration to provide them with the support. So who's helping them? Currently, they are spreading on, depend on the season, but usually they can find it in Mafraq, they go to the Jordan Valley, and ايش اماكن تانية محمود ممكن يكونوا؟ Yes, also like in the south, in the several location. So we need to distinguish between which refugees, and when we speak about Azraq specifically, the village 5 is another issue, who are completely restricted to go outside the village because of several security issues and several investigations, suspicious of them, and all of these things. Many of them could be like more than 5-6 years who stay in the same village and they cannot go outside. And this is itself a long story for any refugees reside there, whatever their background, or just thinking about the children who born and live there. One of the organizations I worked with, we do an activity for a child there, and they are not able to recognize any animal, other cat, for example, because this is the only animal they can see inside the camp. And like the most color they use is yellow, because this is yellow and white, because this is the most color they see inside this district or this village. So it's another thing also to figure out. Why I decide to remove the hat of working in NGO. My profession is monitoring and evaluation, accountability and learning. So thanks for sharing the feedback and the accountability. That's really interesting to see how the needs are changing from years to year. But because I'm working in such a profession, I figure out that although that the NGO I worked with all of my respect, they're doing a great job. We have million, and we have many of Jordanian and Syrian who's working together, but we still are not able to deliver all the need. And to be very honest, it's donor-driven. So whatever the donor decide to do in this country or this location or this camp, we will do. Definitely, you will hear a lot of need assessment and all of these things, but then the money comes with a specific need and with a specific focus and specific thematic area, which not necessarily fit with the need and not necessarily fit with the key issue that's fit in that camp or the host community. So I decide like to go outside of the hat of the NGO worker. I'm still working because I need to work, and this is definitely give an added value to my experience, but I found out that working outside and doing with the local community, do the fundraise by myself and with my colleagues all over Jordan with a different nationality is really has an impact more than working on the NGO, with all my respect with a million and several thousand of Jordanian and Syrian and other nationality who get benefit from the service. When I say the impact, it's like only me, Mahmoud, and other 2-3 colleagues who do the volunteer. We do the case management as we are working in NGO. We do the assessment. We do our connection between National Aid Fund, if the Jordanian, or university are, if they are Syrian, to figure out the need. We do the visit. Sometimes we do it by ourselves, or sometimes we send someone inside the camp to figure out the case or the status and what we can do. Outside the camp or outside the location, we have our personal partnership with hospitals, doctors, fundraiser, and all of these things, all of these stakeholders, so we can do it. How we do the fundraising, this is very critical, and that's why we stop now. It's through personal fundraising, and now due to the new governmental law that we cannot do fundraise if we are not covered officially. That's why we are trying to register ourselves as a small NGO under Ministry of Social Development, which is a long process. That's mean, and for example, last night I received a case from Yemen, a Yemeni family who are really suffering because they don't have any money even 1 GD to go to the Bashir Hospital, which is in middle of Amman, to get an urgent service. I speak to the lady and I ask her, like, why you don't go, why the UNHCR don't cover you, Caritas, or any other organization? And she said, like, I speak with everyone and no one willing to help me. They just inform me, you go and like, just do what you can do, call the emergency, and this is the most that we can do. Another time, like also on that weekend, unfortunately it was a bad weekend for several families, I also received a call from Syrian lady who probably will visit you soon. She's like get fight with her husband and like she's end up in the street and she didn't find any place to go. She's not aware like any protection center that she can go there. She don't have any money and she's end up to spend her night at the street. So yes, we still have a lot of for the host community and a lot inside the camp. Speaking again inside the camp, so I'm also working, one of my work experience was in localization. So the localization of humanitarian work, which means, yes, we have a lot of INGO, and which they really do a lot. They definitely spend a lot of money, but we still are not empowered enough as a local community and local CBO, which is community-based organization, to do our work by ourselves. And this is initiative taken by Jonaf and Jeff, which is entity to collect or like covering the international NGO and the local NGO to figure out how we can do the localization. Unfortunately, Jordan context is still not ready enough to take this next step. We are in a very early stages of localization, but of all of these lack of fund, all the fund shifted to Ukraine, we have this distinguish between like white refugees and the other refugees. I don't know how it's reflect within your video, like several filmmaking. It's even like something like when you speak with the refugees inside the camp, they are completely aware that, okay, if we are in Ukraine, life will be changed. Even if they are refugees and Syrian also considered as a refugees. According to what we have discussed, it's important to hear the empowerment and livelihood. But Jordan and the conference, London conference, they launched or they said that there is many opportunity of Jordanian to work. However, we have a long list of closed profession that is only for Jordanian. And this is very tricky because definitely we are willing to give the Syrian, for example, opportunity to learn how to tailoring or sewing, or even the student to go to medical class and be doctor. But then after they graduated, they are not allowed to work. So what kind of livelihood we try to do if we spend all the money of the training or studying in things or like a profession that they cannot work on? What's come after, like even inside the camp, it's definitely good and definitely it's an excellent experience for refugees to get any vocational training. But what they will do after get this training, what's the impact, how they will use it, how is the law is fit with them? Is that like we give them because just we want to spend the money, or because we think out of the box and there could be another opportunity for them to work outside or even inside the camp? Another thing also I hear about the rotation of work, the cash for work or the intensive-based volunteer. Yes, it is rotational every six months. It depends on the type of work and whether it's like semi-skilled or skilled. But again, refugees in the camp still they feel they are not getting their chance to work and go outside. And this is really impact the dynamics inside the family. And I think this is important to highlight it, how the dynamics inside the family change, because for sometimes the lady or the wife could get the chance to work. It's not completely work, but let's say we call it a work. And for example, she get 100 GD after like her work. However, the husband he's not able to work. Spending the money inside the home, when the wife getting the money, it's making a lot of issue inside the family and change the dynamics inside. We in a conservative families used to have the money from the male, and then the spending is sometimes gathered and sometimes it's just from the husband. And when something happening against these, what we are get used, there is a lot of tension inside the family, change the family dynamics inside. And I think this is also important to highlight. Yes, definitely it's important to have my colleague Mahmoud. He's working on the field more. All of our work, for example, last year we are able to help more than 25 cases with a severe medical operation, from a small one to bigger one, and all of the funds were raised locally, which means that also the host community are really willing to help refugees. And also really willing, like they understand the need and they really want to work together. What we are missing, or what the refugees missing, that like hearing their voice. I think this is really crucial, because we cannot keep talking about them, and I'm happy that you will have another round of discussion with them, because otherwise you will not hear the real need or the exact story. I'm still like living in Amman. I'm not refugees. I visit Zaatari many times. I visit several locations of refugees, but eventually I'm citizen here, and whatever like I understand their need, I'm not in their position yet. So speaking with them, it's even give them the empowerment to speak out. I give the floor to my colleague Mahmoud, so for his
محمود بس بدي اطلب منك شغله.
تفضلي.
لانه عمل على اساس الراوند في بدها تحكي بعد كلوديا، فانت اختصر مشان بعدين ترجع تحكي لنا بالتفصيل.
اوكي.
عرفت شو؟
بحب اعرفكم عن نفسي على اساس يعني تقدروا تفهموا الحكي، او انه طبعا تقدروا تفهموا علي الحكي اللي انا راح احكي. انا اسمي محمود صدقه، عمري 57 سنه، شاركت في قوافل كسر الحصار على غزه، لايف لاين 3 واسطول الحريه ولايف لاين 5. طبعا انا مستقل، مش تابع لاي جهه معينه، انا مجرد انسان بحاول اني امارس شغفي في اني اساعد الاخرين. وهذا الحكي يعني كان في له تاثير كبير في حياتي، انه انا ابن مخيم يعني بالاخر، وعشت 20 سنه بمخيم، فما بحب مأساتي اللي أنا عشتها في المخيم تتكرر على الآخرين. هلا عيشة المخيم ممكن تعمل ردتين فعل، ممكن تعمل ردة فعل إيجابية إنه أنا ما بدي اللي أنا شفته بالمخيم يشوفه غيري، ممكن تكون ردة فعل سلبية إنه خلي اللي أنا شفته الكل يشوفه. فهي بترجع لتربية ومرجعية الفكرية للإنسان نفسه.
A small introduction about Mahmoud. I can't cover exactly what he said, but he's an independent social activist as a refugee that he came out of the refuge camp, and he's helping the community around by in a positive way, by helping out others so they can avoid it. He was part of a lot of the pressure, local pressure outside, sometimes on Gaza, sometimes on other issues, and that's why he would like to share us his experience.
طبعا اتعرفت على المهندس ديما في معسكر الفتيان الايتام في معهد الوكاله في ناعور بجوز بال2009، وظلت انا اجيد استخدام العلاقات، يعني بحب يعني بعتبر ثروتي اللي هي العلاقات العامه. فصرنا انا وديما بيجينا كثير حالات طبيه بيجي لديما او بيجي لعندي، انا دوري انه صار لي علاقات، صرت اشتغل لغايه الكورونا كنت ادخل على المخيم تقريبا بشكل يومي، اروح مواصلات على مخيم الزعتري، كان معي تصريح فردي اعطاني مدير مخيم صديقي عبد الرحمن العموش الله يذكره بالخير، فكنت ادخل واجي على المخيم امتى ما بدي. كان شغلي كله يعني انا قناعتي المطلقه انه الانسان بشكل عام لاجئ او فقير او ايش ما كان وضعه هو بحاجه لشغلتين، التعليم والصحه.
I met Dima in 2009 and I was working individually going in the camps. And during the COVID times, I had a clearance about going in, and I think as a person, on a personal level, that the most needs is health and education. We're going to talk more about their work. رح نحكي أكتر بعدين. So we had an introduction what Mahmoud does, and we're gonna move to Claudia, who heard about us from our favorite Karbush, and she came along especially for this roundtable from Italy. Welcome, Claudia and friends.
شكرا. صباح الخير. Thank you very much, Karama, for this invitation, opportunity of learning and of connection for this great work. So I will speak on behalf of our project. My name is Claudia Morini Di Tocco from Cinematografica from Italy. We have a small video introduction. I don't know if it's available because it's 1 minute and it shows a little bit of our work in Italy. But I will start speaking so we don't lose time in the meantime. So we are a multidisciplinary team. I myself work in the humanitarian field. I used to work also in Jordan in women and girls' rights and empowerment, basically protection sector. And also my colleagues, Simona Castoldi and Daniela Colamartini, they work for a film festival and in the film industry. So what we understood is that exactly many things, yes, sorry, that resonate in this discussion. These are the slides, perfect. Yeah, I will use the slides. Are very important to us because from the very beginning of our project, we really wanted to, first of all, show different kind of movies. So we basically select women-led, women-directed movies and also voices from places that don't have visibility in the film industry mainstream and that also talk about social topics, women rights, women human rights and girls empowerment in different contexts. So yes, I follow this. So also, we basically work in 2 ways. In Italy, we work inside the cinema industry to raise awareness on the gender gap that is still present in the industry worldwide. So few women-directed movies that talk about social issues or women rights are visible in the industry or widespread in cinemas or on platforms that are super used nowadays. So we participate in festivals, we raise awareness on this topic in panels, and we have a good and strong network of women directors all over the world, like to raise awareness on this issue and to make connections among them. And also on the other side, we work with social projects and in the educational field. For example, we have a big project in Italy working with schools, with kids from 6 to 18. We use cinema as a way to raise awareness on the rights of women and girls in Italy and worldwide, and also to empower them to speak out, to develop a critical sense and critical knowledge of understanding of the world, and also, for example, the refugee situation. Of course, in Italy, it's also an important topic to talk about with the Mediterranean crisis, especially in regards to women's rights. And we do it in an interactive way, and maybe the video will show it a little bit how we work, interactive, digital, and very creative, like sort of trying to make them in the position to speak out and develop their critical mindset. And also we are in touch with different NGOs and community-based organizations in different places outside Italy, because we would like to work together with local organizations and local CBOs to develop this methodology elsewhere. So we are very happy to be here, and it's a good opportunity of connection. Because, for example, there are many interesting films from the Arab world and also women-directed movies that can be shown in, for example, Syrian-directed movies or Lebanese-directed movies, or from Northern Africa that can be shown inside, for example, educational projects in the camps. And also we also give technical skills about the cinema industry, because it can be, of course, it's a minority industry, but it can be itself a livelihood opportunities. For example, we work, we are developing right now a project for subtitling, because we want as much as possible independent and less shown movies that talk about the issues we are talking about to be visible all over the world, and we can empower women who have very good level of education to be the translators of this film and to learn how to subtitles. It's a very easy method somehow. And so this is, I don't know, I was a bit deconstructed in my presentation. I hope it was, yeah. What? Yeah, we also, of course, the topic that arose about mental health and psychosocial support is very important to us because cinema itself can be a way to provide some, through psychosocial activities, can be a way to provide some support for mental health also. So yeah, I think if we can show this 1 minute video, maybe you can understand a little bit, especially how we have been working in Italy because of Corona the last 3 years. We also have a film festival, feminist film festival and debates about women's rights currently in Italy, moving. We started in Florence, where we are based, next year in Milan, but we would like and we would love to accept as much as possible films that show the variety of voices and the variety of perspective of lives of women and girls all over the world. Yeah. If not available, it's okay. Yeah, one thing that I will add in the meantime, for example, we showed in Italian schools one short movie that it's called 99 Little Hero. I mean, one episode of this series made in Germany for kids in schools, and it shows the story of kids from different parts of the world and how they manage to reach their schools, sometimes through very different, difficult and long journeys. And we showed one episode of a girl in Zatari camp. So it was a way for us, and it's herself, like, it is centered about her life in Zatari. There is no intrusion of anyone else, and it's a very good example of how she could develop deliver her own story. But of course, we can think about other, developing other film products that goes in this direction. Maybe it's not available? Okay. Yes, of course. Yeah. I don't know if there are some questions.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you something.
Of course, please.
So by now, as you're telling us about your experience, أنت عم تشرحي لنا عن تجربتك, it seems that you have some templates now or some formats that you use when you go and have your screenings, right?
Yeah.
So it is important for us that you share it, or share it doesn't have to be now immediately, but it is important to share what are the most important introductions, timing, how many films, the target
Definitely.
audience. Because now that we are speaking ونحن هلا عم نحكي, نحن هلا بنص 2023, يعني in the mid 2023, we are talking about 110, يعني 110,000, 110,000 million forcibly displaced on the globe, و 36.5 millions are refugees. So I think that the face of the globe is going to change. يعني إذا we have that, these numbers are it's unrealistic. I don't know. Now I was just searching to know how many people are not in their own environments or houses or have their basic rights. And on top of that, today is the 10th of December, which is the International Day of Declaration of Human Rights. اليوم نحن 10 ديسمبر اللي هو اليوم العالمي لإعلان حقوق الإنسان. So I think as human beings sitting in this place, I think we are facing a big, huge challenge First, related to the equation or the new equation of human rights, which we should be evaluating very soon. Second, the practicality and what does that mean when we say 36.5 millions are refugees on the globe. يعني بدنا نرجع نعمل إعادة تقييم ونظرة جديدة لمعادلة حقوق الإنسان في شكلها الحالي، وما هو جوهر الأمور لهالمعادلة. وهذا على فكرة الثيم تبع مهرجان كرامة الأفلام حقوق الإنسان، خاصة أنه اليوم نحن بمناسبة 10 ديسمبر. I don't want to let you feel unhopeful. ما بدي يعني أثر على إحساسكم بالmotivation، بس I think بعتقد إنه راح يكون في عنا تحدي كبير, the challenge that we are talking about. So going back to Dima, تفضل سوري اللي ما شفتك.
أنا علي من الاتحاد الأسري. بس كلمة من اللي عم تحكيها إنه قد إيه صار نحن عندنا مسؤولية الأشخاص اللي عم نشتغل بالمجال الإنساني قدام مجتمعات اللي نحن جايين منهم، لدرجة إنه هم كنا نسمع دائما إنه شو هالعلاك الفاضي اللي عم تعملوه. فنحن اليوم بعد حرب غزة والأزمات اللي عم تصير بدنا نرجع نفكر مرة تانية كيف بدنا تكون الصورة الحقيقية للعمل اللي نحن عم نعمله، وقديش نحن عم نمشي بالسياق الصح تجاه المجتمعات اللي نحن جايين منها وعم نشتغل بخدمتها. شكرا.
So شكرا علي. صحيح انه we will have a bigger responsibility, especially with what is happening now in Gaza. And actually we don't want to say what is happening in Gaza with the direct genocide that is taking place now and we are witnessing. It will also change the face of the world. I think we all think, because everybody is discussing that, so there is a new truth, there is a new debate that will happen on the globe. There are many disguised situations, or let's say disguised statements that we have seen now clearly. People on the streets, please do not forget all these millions of people that were demonstrating on the streets, and these people were not only demonstrating for Gaza. These people are demonstrating also for their own self, for their justice, for the discovery that they made about what was their worth and value as citizens in their own countries. Because this, I mean, justice is not divided. يعني العدالة مش مفروض تكون انتقائية ومقسمة. فهدول الناس والملايين اللي على الشوارع I'm translating myself مش بس طالعين مشان غزة، طالعين مشان هن شو استنتجوا، شو الاستنتاج الأساسي اللي عملوه بما يعني فكرة العدالة، وأنه العدالة غير أنه هي ليست انتقائية، لكن اكتشفوا كمواطنين ومواطنات أنه هن كانوا داخل نوع من التلفيق والخدع الكبير التي لها علاقة بإنسانية جمعاء. يعني أنا ما عم بحكي من منطلق انفعالي، عم بحكي من ال observations that we've been doing lately. So I think we should all start exchanging information and maybe we will try today our best to exchange as much as we can يعني نتبادل الانفورميشن لمحل انه نوصل يعني ديما كنت عم تحكي عن refugees inside the camps and outside the camps, and you were talking about some serious let's say obstacles and painful numbers of what should happen or what is the aid that should happen to these refugees. It made me also a little bit unhopeful of how is it a priority to screen to these people. قديش هي الأولوية إنه هلأ نحن نروح نحكي معهم أو نسليهم أو to make them screen، ولا what is the priority now أو what are the choices that we should be doing. شو هو الخيار اللي نحن مفروض نقدر نعمله؟ هل هو وقت مناسب إنه نروح نعمل هاي السكرينينجز ولا لا؟ So this is something we can discuss a bit more, but I noticed this tone, or let's say overtone in your thing. أنا عم لخص لكم شوي. So we will see something now. Okay, how many minutes? 1 minute.
this was a brief presentation of our work, and the last one, Educate, is our educational project on this issue through cinema in Italian schools. But just to end, a few things that I forgot. Local ownership that came out for us is super important. So we work in Italy as Italians, but of course we would like to work together with the other organizations, and maybe we can share our methods that can be translated and adapted, and of course, get better also, like and differentiated, and it's a good way also of connection, of mutual learning with other organizations that are experts in the field and refugees themselves. And we are developing a methodology for example, Italian schools, a training of trainers, of teachers in schools, when we can share our, selected films and our educational kits, and this could be a good idea also to develop in collaboration the same thing here. So just to end, sorry. Shukran kathir.
Thank you, Claudia. We'll be working in Jordania as Italians, not. You said we work in Italy as Italians. What do you mean?
Local ownership. We work. Italian is our language. We work in Italy. It's our context that we know. But of course, retaking the
localization.
Yes, yes. We like to work in collaboration with other organizations, but we're not taking the lead. So, the voices of the refugees themselves or the organizations working with them.
Yes, yes, I understood what you mean. It's not there, the logo anymore, but I would have liked to talk about the logo. You have a beautiful logo with the camera inside their guts. It's a beautiful logo. شو نحكي؟
Yeah, on your card, yeah.
It's beautiful. Yeah. ما عملت لها إياه. So this is very Italian and Arabic at the same time. نحن we always have our moms do our things. ويا الله. And مقدوس too. طيب مين مفروض يحكي؟ Nicola, are you ready to give us your experience, please? Yes, please, as a filmmaker. And then we have also Ayed as a documentary filmmaker, and we have Annie who wanted to say something also as a filmmaker. Yes, if you have something to prepare, please. Do you have your trailer, Annie? Your trailer, Habibti. So you can prepare it while Nicola is speaking.
Okay, I was not ready to speak, but I will. I'm thinking a lot about what you are saying. It's a very interesting discussion, and there are so many things to say connected to the job I'm doing and the situation. But of course, I will just stress something about the film that I'm presenting tonight. As you mentioned, I have been documenting the story of one village in southern Palestine, in the West Bank, in the South Hebron Hills, and the main reason why we came back after 10 years was because we realized that the kids we met 15 years ago now, they became adults, young adults, and they became the protagonist of the village resistance, and we wanted to come back to talk again about Palestine and to find a way to talk about Palestine. In that moment, Palestine was out of the map because of the many crises which the global world presents us every day, and so we thought, okay, let's go back and make a film about them, about the kids, because we had a lot of archive footage we didn't use 15 years ago, and at the same time we realized that we could make a film together, because the situation changed in the last 15 years. Before 20 years, when activists went to the village, they were called by the shepherd because they were facing the aggression by the Israelis, and they couldn't document the aggressions and the violence. So the activists, they had the cameras, and they could protect them with the cameras. But nowadays, the kids becoming adults and the technology changing allowed them to be the spokesman for the community using Facebook and social media. And so the film we did was a kind of combination of all these observational documents. Part of those documents are activist documents. Part of them are the UFO Sumud, the guys' videos, and part is our, of course, filming. So, but it's interesting, but because we truly believe that we have to tell stories together. And what happens to me is often, since we are independent filmmakers, we use crowdfunding, we have our own platform for distribution, so we do a lot of campaigning around the issues we raise in our documentaries. We meet a huge amount of audience, and we like to think that the audience is part of the process, of the creative process. So also the main protagonist of the stories should be part of the creative process, because this is the only way, I think, that in the end we have something on the screen that really create a dialogue between the people who are represented and the people to whom, as directors, we want to talk. Because I believe that sometimes in films and in documentaries, especially in documentaries, it happens that the person who is watching the film do a journey through the screen. So the screen is really a magical portal, in my opinion, because sometimes I really have the impression that people with this kind of stories can go to Palestine and be transformed and be changed. And that should, of course, have as a result a change also in the people who are participating in the film, because otherwise something is broken. Otherwise, we are the one who goes somewhere, steal the story, go somewhere else, sell the story, and make a profit, which is kind of a thing that we don't believe in, but this is really happening every day. And so we should really take into account which is the ethical responsibility that we have as authors, and which is the changes that we want to have and achieve in the world, and which is the process we endure and we activate when we tell a story. And I believe that is possible, but I'm very happy that this is the point of the discussion today, how we can really take into account the people, the audience, and also the protagonist of the story that we want to tell. Thank you very much. Shukran.
Thank you, Nicola. Yes, it is important if you can attend the film of Nicola today at 8 o'clock. اليوم الساعة 8 نيكولا عنده الفيلم تاعه. هلا بنجيب، ابعتوا لنا حدا يجيب برنامج المهرجان الذي لا. I just wanted also to say about what Nicola was saying، إنه اللي عمله نيكولا هو كمان بتكون وثيقة، هي وثيقة إثبات مهمة جدا. It is a kind of document that could be a witness or can be used in any, not only as an archive, but it is also not. It's not. I mean, just to have a story. It's a document that could be used in many ways. That is the role also of the film. So we are talking about documentary films, and we are also talking about documentary films that could be a real document for discussion, for witnessing, for a tool of argument, for also, there are of course more I mean other documentaries that are made so much in depth that they could be also a document used in court. We had a guest 2 days ago when we were in the Must Meet meeting, which is also in which we were discussing how to do the boycott, a boycott-like lobby, cinematic, academic, and cultural boycott against Israel as a pirate state. So the important thing that one of the lawyers told us, that please, if you work out your documentaries a little bit more specifically and carefully, these documentaries for us can be used in court. So please be aware of what you are doing when you are filming, because now you have a different responsibility. It is beautiful to have creative documentaries, but it is more important now to be more focused on what you need to film. And he said, me, as a lawyer, I can use this document because I have the witness, I have the scene of the crime, I have all the information or data around what is happening, which is the environmental data, and I can put it in a way where I can have a case. If you do that, I will have a case. And then he said, please be also careful that you as activists and people working in the film also, because many of us here also work in the film, you will be attacked in different ways, because there will be a big war between the, I mean, what we are presenting, our discourse, and the discourse which is polarized against the status quo that we are in. So with all this polarization, there will be attacks in the media and in all our field, and what we are doing and our representations of the truth, okay? And many arguments will pop out about, no, there are two truths, there are two justices, there are two worlds, there are two polarities, and this is, I mean, enabling such an argument is very dangerous. So each one of us, with the tool they have, be careful if you can collect data to be a data that can be used properly, whether it's film, whether it's oral recordings, all of that. So now we have Ayed who will tell us also more about the role of a film as a documentary filmmaker.
بس عفوا عايز قبل ما بس انا بدي احب انوه انه اليوم، لانه سوسن قالت اليوم العالمي لاعلان حقوق الانسان، احنا زمان كنا نحتفل في هذا اليوم. هلا للاسف عم نحزن اكثر لموضوع انه اليوم العالمي لحقوق الانسان والاحداث اللي عم تحصل في غزه. فيعني احنا بين الخجل والحزن والجرح العميق اللي موجود جواتنا حقيقه يعني، واحنا شكرا لكم انكم جيتوا في هذا الظرف. اليوم احنا معظم الافلام اللي موجوده، احنا عشان هيك وزعنا البرنامج، معظم الافلام هي عن موضوع اللجوء بشكل او باخر، والموضوع الفلسطيني، وفي حتى في سيمينار عن موضوع سوري بس كمان عن موضوع اللجوء. فبنحب انكم تدعوا يعني المؤسسات تاعتكم او انتم تكونوا موجودين. بهمنا كثير هذا الحكي، هو لانه بدعم، لانه بنحكي عن فعل المقاومه في السينما، فهذا بدعم موضوع القضيه الفلسطينيه والقضايا الاساسيه تاعت اللجوء. فشكرا كثير لكم.
شكرا.
بس أترجم سريعا. Most of the films in our program, because this is dedicated for Palestine, this Karama 14th, and we really thank you that during this time of war and pain that you joined us for this talk, and especially of what's witnessing. And unfortunately, we're not celebrating the Day of the Human Rights. We're here with pain. We have another seminar. It's on the program. It's a Syrian seminar by the Mullahs twins, Syrian filmmakers, but it's about refugees. So please be free, and you're more than welcome to invite even your friends, your families, whoever would like to come to attend the seminar. Thank you. We move on with Ayed. Thank you, Ayed.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much. Firstly, as filmmaker, I used to go directly to refugees. I used to skip your role, which is not the right way to do, because we have to work together. So I skip you and I go directly to the refugees to collect oral testimonies. Of course, I think it's the most important now is to work together, because you work in sustainable resilience, and I work on distributing images and testimonies to the world. And I believe these days, because it's becoming so important, that we have to work together. So I went to so many camps, especially Palestinian camps. I collected so many testimonies, and I made films about it. And one of them was I made something between 5 women, 3 Palestinian living in camps, and 2 Israeli women. And all of them were born in 48, and it was my first time to meet an Israeli that would talk about it. So for the Israeli women, it was like their birth date is like the creation of the state, and it was a celebration moment. And for the Palestinians, it was the catastrophic moment for them. So it was so hard for me until today. I see these women coming to me in my dreams because they gave me so much powerful testimonies that follows me. And I start to ask myself this question: what can I do to make them return? Because they claim all the time that they want to return. They're never stable in their life. So these women, they've been in like almost 70 years away from their homes. And what can we do for them? I start to ask my question, what can I do for them to bring them home? So then we developed a project. I had another project about start imagining a new state, and everybody comes back to his home. That was another project. And I wanted so many people to see this, because it's a permanent problem. I know you work hard, we work hard, but at the end of the day, they're staying in their camps, and they don't have any hopes to go back. Well, they claim that they have hopes, but I think it's quite difficult, because it's a political question. It's not an artistic it's not an NGO question, because the problem is so deep that we cannot solve it here. In the power would solve it, of course. So I would like to show you one of the testimonies that I got, and some of the women that I met already dead, and she told me, my dream is to go back to my home, and she never went back, unfortunately. Thank you.
Light, please, Arif, put the film on.
أنا هنا في بيتي قاعد بروح أزور أولادي. كنت أزور 3 أولادي اللي هو بشار ومحمد وبلال. كل يوم على سجن، والليلة أطلع على سجن مجدد، ثاني ليلة أطلع على سجن النقب، ثالث ليلة أطلع على جلبوع. يعني ما أقعد في البيت. الحمد لله الله قواني. أيام أروح أزور، أجي في الليل، أجي الساعة 11 لما نجي من النقب الساعة 11، الساعة 4 أطلع أزور النقب شو اسمه مجدو. أجي من مجدو الساعة 8 أطلع أزور جلبوع ثاني ليلة. يعني أسبوع أظني شغالة على الزراعة. واضح إحنا ماشيين بهالحياة. لكن
يرجعنا على المرة نفسها.
ما عندك ترجمة كليب.
بدي أرجيكم كليب.
خلص بلاي.
يعني أنا بالنسبة لي بقى كل أسبوع يفوتوا علي، كل أسبوع يفوتوا علي، يعجبوا في ظهري ويطلعونا، يطلعوا أولادي مشلحين، يطلعوا جوزي حافي يعني عجبوا الاحتلال فينا. يعني إحنا عندنا صار 3 طلبوا ابني اللي أبو بسام، طلبوا يعني بدهم إياه. على 2 في الليل أخذوا أختي وأخذوا بنتي وأخذوا سلفة أختي وأخذوا جوز بنتي وأخذوا يعني مجموعة كبيرة بدهم ابني. قال لهم أنا بدي أسلم حالي، ما بدي يعني إنه يصير بكفي عندها هم واحد يصير أنا الثاني سلم حاله ابني. قعدت 4 سنين ما شفتش ابني، 4 سنين ما شفته. خذوا بالله، خذوا بشر من الشر. أسمع صوته ولا أسمع ولا إشي، ما حدا يجيب لي سيرته. المحامية يروحوا له ما يلاقوه، ما بنعرف إيش هو. بضل مع أولادي، بكيت وين ما يروحوا أنا معهم، ناظر معهم، أروح معهم، بدهم يروحوا على الموت أنا معهم. عمري ما قلت لهم لا، لأنهم بدافعوا عن وطننا.
Demain, je pars pour un voyage à travers la Palestine. J'irai de Gaza à Jéricho. Je passerai par Jérusalem et comme Mourid Barghouti, je reverrai Ramallah. J'irai d'ouest en est et du nord au sud en toute quiétude, car maintenant je suis libre dans mon pays, libre en terre de Palestine. Ah oui, j'oubliais quelque chose. J'ai récemment acheté un atlas représentant le monde. C'est écrit Palestine en grand. C'est notre pays, c'est là où nous vivons. Je vais continuer à peindre, je vais continuer à diffuser mes timbres, je vais continuer à faire en sorte que le contenu de cette lettre soit réalité là, maintenant, aujourd'hui et pas demain.
عارف؟
Thank you, عايد.
شكرا شكرا.
اوكي يا جماعة, I think we have 20 minutes, معنا 20 دقيقة. راح نروح لا معنا 20 دقيقة.
يدخلوا.
معنا 20 دقيقة.
هلا اجى نظام.
معنا 20 دقيقة. I think we need to go to recommendations. نسمع من الاقتراحات توصيات, لأنه بهمنا يكون الجلسة, وإن كان زي ما حكت الأستاذ سوسن إنه مش اجتماع رسمي, لكن ممكن نطلع ببعض التوصيات العملية. في نقطة مهمة أشار إلها عايد بمداخلته, إنه هو بس اشتغل مع اللاجئين تجاوز المجتمع اللي بيشتغل بشكل يومي بشكل مستدام على مختلف المستويات مع اللاجئين. وهذا بالنسبة لنا كمجتمع صناع أفلام, يعني what you do on the ground, الشغل الميداني والتكنيكال نو هاو, إن كان على مستوى الليجل أو إن كان على مستوى المنتال سبورت أو على livelihood, all across is important. إنه شيء عندكم data, عندكم نو هاو, عندكم access, ممكن غيركم تعطوا أفكار لصناع الأفلام. You can also provide them with how to maneuver, how to deal with the refugee community in dignity and respectful way. Because back to Nicholas' point, you know, we don't want to monetize this because it is business for a lot of people, unfortunately. You know what's happening right now in Gaza, a lot of people will come, you know, from different backgrounds, and they will monetize this because they know there will be some type and sort of funding and so on. And this is not our purpose, you know. This project been going on for many years, and I think it's time to re-energize it, re-establish it, and more as an institutional way. And in my mind, the best way is to create a task force where people from the INGO and the local community organizations, provide the technical support, maybe maybe we set up a platform, it could be online, it could be every 3 months, where if there are filmmakers, especially young filmmakers, who are new to the field and would like to explore what they can do with refugees in Jordan and beyond, they can first talk with you guys, learn from you, understand, and then they can do their research and homework way better. And once they go and hit the ground, start shooting, it will be much more productive and valuable and respectful for the refugee community. I've done that where you have a lot of elderlies, especially in Palestinian refugee camps, like, I'm tired. They know they are photogenic. I don't want to see more cameras. I don't want to do any more testimony. Just get lost. We went through this in our careers.
طيب كيف نقدر نعمل هلا ندخل على التوصيات؟ How can we do the recommendation process؟ هذا عنده فكرة؟ كيف ممكن نعمله؟ تفضل.
Yeah, thank you so much. I believe all of us here agree that a consultation process is a must in implementing any type of activity, regardless if it was related to cinema or any other responses to refugees or others. As we do in our project planning in every year, we do community consultations, meeting with different groups, taking random samples, and based on what we find in the field, we design our programs. And I believe this should be the way. Like in this room, there are representatives from different organizations representing organizations and sectors, but we are missing a lot of other sectors and a lot of other organizations. As you may know, in Jordan we have, it is the most country populated with aid workers in the world. So there are tens of thousands of people who are experts in those fields, as well as we have also hundreds of thousands of refugees over here. Currently, we focused on Syrian refugees, but also we are missing a lot of other refugees. Iraqi refugees, Somali, Sudanese are also missing, with no service providers providing anything for them. In the country, we have 46 nationalities of refugees over here. So to take a sample from the different refugee groups, as well as meeting with specific people to get a better idea. Like in this paper, I highlighted that basic needs and livelihood, but it is coming only from few thousands of refugees in a very specific area, Azraq camp. But to represent something in the cinema, it should not be about one group, because again, the refugee situation in Jordan is not like other refugee crises in the world. So meeting with people, you may find that basic needs is not the thing people want to show on the screen. Maybe to show their dreams or to show something else would be more useful for them. Thank you so much.
لا تفضل أستاذ مالك.
Thank you. This is Silvia Mazzocchin, Communications and Advocacy Manager for GRS, Jesuit Refugee Service Jordan. Thank you very much, Malik. What I want to share is something related to what you mentioned. GRS works for refugee minorities that are mostly based in Amman. So it's really important that when we talk about refugees, we include all refugees, and especially the refugee minorities need a particular attention and concern because they face more discrimination and marginalization than other communities for many different reasons. The communities that you mentioned, such as Sudanese, Somali, Yemeni, Iraqi, sometimes they face the, issues of racism, marginalization regarding access to services. So what GRS is trying to do is raise awareness about the presence of these communities and the different and higher needs that make them more vulnerable than other communities. And another issue that you mentioned is the participation of refugees. So this is what we try to do, and we wish also to expand this approach to include always refugees in any discussion that involves them, any decisions that is taken for them. So it's really important that we empower and to let them talk on their behalf. Also because we have extremely talented and expert members of refugee communities that we have to try to include as much as possible to give them a chance as well, and to make this process more meaningful for everybody. So I think for this discussion, particularly regarding cinema, so the communities that I'm talking about, these refugee minorities, face, especially in terms of livelihoods, big problems because they cannot access the job market in any way. But for this discussion, maybe what is more important is the need of participation, inclusion, and the issues of identity. Because being exactly marginalized, this community feels forgotten, hidden, invisible, and cinema is a huge tool that can let them talk about their communities, not just as being refugee, because there is this issue of the label of just being a refugee. And these people are not just refugees. Actually, they are much more else. Refugees just the legal status that they have in the country, but unfortunately, they are seen as if they are just refugees. So as an NGO, as like all our colleagues from the NGO sector, we have access to the communities. We have knowledge of the needs, but we really need strategic partners in the cultural sector. So from movie makers to organizer of festivals such as Karama Film Festival, because we are aware that sharing stories is the most powerful tool to change something. On an advocacy level, so to change laws that discriminate, to also advocate on donors that are the ones that bring money, so they have a high decision-making power, and also to change mindset in the communities that are not maybe so open or not yet very welcoming towards who is very different than them. So this occasion, it's amazing to get inspiration, but also to, I hope, trigger new chances of collaboration, because we see mostly like free needs that could be like targeted in a collaboration among all these stakeholders. That is accessibility for these communities to cinema. So just basically because they don't have the money to pay, so they cannot go to the cinema. And also like, the idea of making the cinema accessible to them. So regarding location, where the movies are screened, close to the community, and also for free. And then exactly the cinema as a way to raise awareness about the communities and as a way to advocate. So like we would really appreciate movie makers that want to tell stories about these communities and to collaborate with them. For example, we are going to work on a participatory documentary with this idea also inclusion and capacity building, and we are really open to people that would like to collaborate on this. So thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you. Very clear recommendations. LWF, shukran.
I have one thing. It's regarding as our INGO, we have a working group in every government. For example, we have a protection working group, livelihood, basic need, protection, in all aspects. I suggest if you can join to this working group at every month. It will be very useful for you. We discuss all the concern and the problem and issue we faced. That will be very useful to you to plan and how to think with refugee. So that will be useful.
Thank you. Thank you. It's join the group that you. It's a monthly meeting, and you. Okay. Okay, we'll talk about it in details. Then we can have, let's say, 2 or our officers in this. I mean, on the ground, seeing how what are the interaction together. Okay, Dr. Ammar.
مرحبا يعطيكم العافية. صحيح ماني مشارك، بس في حابب انه انقل تجربتنا بسوريا. كنت احد المؤسسين لمشروع اسمه يلا سينما. يلا سينما هو كان مشروع موجه للاطفال. ما بين 7 ل 15 16 سنة. استقبلنا من مختلف الفئات الاجتماعية اللي كانت موجودة، وأخذنا الأطفال اللي كانوا مصابين بالحالات النفسية جراء الشيء اللي عم يصير من قصف كذا إلى آخره، وحاولنا نبني يعني حاولنا نخرج هذا الطفل من حالته النفسية السيئة إلى حالة نفسية أخرى جيدة. كان المشروع عبارة عن 3 شهور تجربة، يا بننجح فيه يا بنفشل فيه. فالحمد لله اجتنا حالات كانت صعبة، يعني اجانا 2 توأم كانوا يتأتئوا يخافوا رغم انه هن بيئة اجتماعية غنية، بس وفي ناس كانت مسافرة ورجعت، في ناس كان عندها خوف وكان عندهم تأتأة وكان عندهم عدم ثقة بالنفس. قدرنا نحن خلال 3 شهور من الدورة الصيفية هاي ببرنامج يلا سينما انه ننقلهم لحالة ثانية من الحالة النفسية اللي عندهم.
دكتور عمار، بدي تقول لي كيف قدرتوا، يعني اعطيني جملة واحدة للتوصية.
هذا هو حكي. نحن استعنا بخبراء نفسيين، استعنا سوينا دورة سينمائية. السينما مثل الفن، مثل ما بيقولوا انه الموسيقى هي بعلاج نفسي، وحتى الالوان هي علاج نفسي. استخدمنا السينما كعلاج نفسي، خليناهم يثقوا بنفسهم عن طريق السينما. جبنا مخرجين كبار موجودين، جبنا راقصين مدربي رقص، جبنا خبراء بفن الحوار مع الطفل بهي الفئة العمرية. الأطفال، وهذا الشيء موجود، يعني نحن استمرنا فيه ب6 سنين، يعني بال21 كان لساته موجود هذا المشروع. ولقى يعني جد انه كانوا يجيني اتصالات تجي لغيري من القائمين على المشروع انه مشان الله دبرنا بنتنا، دبرنا الطفل. ما عاد بدنا
انتم كمان عملتوا تدريبات، يعني you were screening and training the people who are inside.
خلينا الطفل هو ضمن مجموعات جروب، هو اللي خلق السينما تبعته. علمناه كيف شو يعني سينما.
So they are participating not only receiving، يعني they are also
تماما interactive.
interacting
in this community. فقدرنا انه نحن انه هو يخلق السيناريو تبعه، يألف، يشتغل. علمناه التصوير، علمناه اللقطات، علمناه الاخراج، تعليم يعني حسب الف باء كيف واحد بتعلم لغه. فطلعت معنا مجموعه افلام من دقيقه ل5 دقائق فعلا مدهشه كانت.
هذا موضوع طبعا صار تدريبي. اتس نايس. يلا سينما مثل الفيلم اللي عرضناه نحن.
حاولت يعني بمجهود فردي للاسف انه لما اجيت لهون استقرينا انه ننقل هاي الحاله.
نعم.
وخاصة في مجال الزعترة.
مفهوم
يعني
مفهوم.
بس للأسف ما حدا سمع.
ثانك يو دكتور عمار.
يعني
لا بركي بنرجع
يعني أنا عم بحكي عن مشروع كان ناجح جدا، مشروع إنساني للأطفال يلي بهيك مجتمع.
في حدا الصبايا اللي ورا would you like to say anything recommendations؟ شو كربوش، شو اسمه كربوش؟ محمد شو رأيك تقلنا شيء هذا؟ عرف عن نفسك.
يعطيكم العافية. أنا محمد كربوش من الصومال، لاجئ من الصومال، متطوع بمنظمة إيطالية. عم بحاول أكون ممثل برضو، عم بدخل في المجال التمثيل. كلاجئين أكثر إشي بنحتاجه أتوقع الفرصة، يعني نحتاج فرصة، فهذا إشي كثير مهم يعني. وتوصيل التوعية عن طريق السينما إشي كثير مفيد. في نقطة يمكن أنا أشوفها بخصوص الأطفال في المدارس، خصوصا لمجتمعنا كالأفريقي الصومالي، بيتعرضوا للتنمر كثير بالمدارس خصوصا العمر الصغير. فإشي كويس إذا عملنا لهم توعية عن طريق السينما بحيث إنه توصل لهم. شكرا.
شكرا كثير. تفضلي بس نعرف مين حضرتك.
يعطيكم العافية أول إشي. I'm Reem Mansour. I'm from Chiron Open Higher Education. We're an NGO who work in education. So what we do basically is providing high quality courses from the top providers in the world for refugees and the vulnerable community for free. And what I would like to add to everyone's point that we need a joint community, a joint gathering where we can talk with people more like Muhammad, participants who can give us their point of view with the workers in the field as well, in the same room, not in a separate room. So we can actually discuss and know what they need. And from our experience, we don't just provide courses, we provide training for our participants so they can gain the needed skills so they can actually compete in the labor market, international labor market, because as it's known, it's really, the labor market here is, in Jordan is very limited for refugees, so we try to help them to enter the international labor market. And of course, it is still challenging, but we have a lot of our participants who are interested in the filmmaking industry, and they're always asking us about courses. And my recommendation would be to teach these participants and individuals from the community how to film, to do their own films, to represent themselves, to represent their community in the best way, because they are the people who are living the challenges and every day. So they would be the most eligible people to talk about themselves and to present the stories that we ourselves we don't know and we did not experience. And thank you.
Thank you. ريم منصور. طب ريم حضرتك بس بدك تقربي على هذا المايك، بفضل هذا. عندك لا عملتي لي recommendation على الدرج، ما تقولي. You recommended something in my ear. They should hear it.
بس الموضوع كتير كبير، يعني موضوع اللاجئين وخاصة اللاجئين المخيمات. بس أنا فلسطينية، بس جاي أنا من أنا بهمني المخيمات، كل المخيمات. أصلاً اللي بهمني إنه نطلع من هاي الفكرة إنه الفلسطينية اللاجئين الفلسطينيين إن I need to translate. Je veux qu'on sorte en fait de la question de réfugiés palestiniens qui sont conçus comme une masse, mais il faut humaniser justement les réfugiés palestiniens et les considérer dans leur statut et leur humanité particulière, quels que soient les pays où ils vivent. Donc en fait, il faut sortir de l'idée que les Palestiniens réfugiés, ils sont tous pareils depuis 5 générations. Et une masse comme ça où on ne voit plus les humains qu'il y a derrière chaque. Donc c'est important pour moi qu'on les identifie dans leur particularité, qu'ils soient en Syrie, qu'ils soient en Jordanie ou qu'ils soient au Liban.
Okay. So she's recommending, like, I mean, she's giving us actually a request to, we need as a world to stop, I mean, looking at the Palestinians as a mass refugees. It's more about at all refugees, yeah. And it's we have to identify like each community, especially or even in Syria, Lebanon, and in Jordan, and to look at the refugees as well, to stop this stereotype of looking at the refugees.
طب انت نفسك لهلا انت عايشه بقلب مخيم فلسطيني؟
نو انا هلا محاميه بفرنسا.
نعم.
وعندي المنظمه وبكتب، عم بعمل كتاب عن موضوع اللاجئين الفلسطينيين اللي عايشين بالمخيمات، فهلا عم بزور كل المخيمات. بس عائلتي بعدها عايشه بالمخيم النيرب، خاصه ابوي وعمامي وخوالي.
باي مخيم؟
مخيم النيرب بسوريا.
مخيم النيرب بسوريا.
فرجعت هيك زور انه بعد 20 سنة، لأنه نحن صلنا 20 سنة ما قادرين نرجع على سوريا، 10 سنين من وراء الحرب و10 سنين لأنه ما كان معنا الجنسية. لإلي موضوع اللاجئين هي حاسة إنه كل ما الواحد بيكون عايش لاجئ بيكون هيك سرق لنا كذا سنة هيك من حياتنا. يعني هلا أنا قضيت 20 سنة بدون ما أشوف أبوي، فبحس هذا الستاتيو تبعنا عم بيسرق لي، بمنعني من الحياة اللي الطبيعية لكل شخص يقدر يكبر مع عائلته، يقدر إنه هيك الحياة البسيطة يعني. فنو أنا طلعت من المخيم، بس إذا الشعب الفلسطيني ما طلع من المخيم كله، من المخيمات، أنا وين ما بقعد، وين ما بعيش، لو أخذت 100 جنسية ضل عايشة كفلسطينية لاجئة، لأنه مستحيل أقرب حياتي إذا بعد في هيك وراي فلسطينية عايشين بدون جنسية، بدون وراء، وبدون ما حدا يهتم فيهم، بدون ما حدا يعرف مين هني. بس بدي أحكي عن شيء. أنا من يومين أوكي سوري.
A quick brief translation. Reem, she's an attorney of law living in Paris, and she's authoring a book about the refugees, and she's visiting the MENA region. And a Palestinian refugee from Aleppo, her parents are still there, and the word refugees has stolen 20 years of her life not staying with her parents. So even if you go outside and you have another nationality, you still have the refugee label on you, and that's a burden, and we need to remove this from our from our wordings and our dictionaries, because it's always this label that limits us as refugees.
واخر شيء بدي اقوله، انا من يومين كنت بمخيم وحدات سوري. اي اول مره ما بعرف منيح الاردن، فبزور هلا كل مخيمات بالاردن. بس بدي احكي معكم هيك عن نقطه كثير تحسست منها. عم بصور انا هلا خاصه ما بس الاطفال، بس العالم اللي عايشين بالمخيم، عشان نرجع نعترف بوجه بالهيومانيتي تبعيتهم. لما كنت عم بصور في كثير عالم اول شيء بيسالوني عنه انه قد ايه بتاخدي للتصوير؟ مصاري. كثير استغربت انه عن جد كل واحد بدي صوره، الكبار الصغار، اول شيء بيسالوني انه قد ايه بتاخدي لتصورينا؟ بقول لهم ما بدي شيء، انه انا فلسطينيه وجاي صوركم عشان فرجي العالم مين انتم، انه نشوف مين عايش بهاي المخيمات. حسيت انه ما حدا او هن يعني بحياتهم ما عم بيشوفوا يوميا يعني عالم بيجوا بيعطوهم هاي القيمه سوري بدون ما يكون في قابل. فما بعرف، كان بس هيك.
لا اللي عم تقوليه مهم كتير، انه فكرة اللاجئ او اللاجئة وكأنه تسليعهم، يعني انه هن كأنه سلعة، يعني looking at these refugees females and males as if they are an object for a research, an object for a picture, an object for a film, and this is very dangerous while interacting with these people. And maybe they don't need to see any film, we don't know. Now I think they are fed up in this, yani, they were more maybe let's say interactive before, maybe now they need more attention on different things. But فكرة التسليع is very very dangerous and is very touching. You are right.
بس آخر نقطة اللي لازم كمان نفرجيه بهالمخيمات، إنه كل ما الواحد عم بيقضي ساعة، يوم، نهار، شهر، أسبوع، سنة، هذا الوقت je sais pas comment on dit gâchis en arabe, le gâchis.
gâchis
شو يخرب gâchis يعني يخرب.
إنه هذا الوقت عم نسرقه هيك من الحياة الفلسطينية. كل ما الواحد يعني هلا أنا إذا مثلا ضليت بالمخيم، لو أمي مثلا ما طلعت من هالمخيم، ما كان بإيدي أعمل دكتوراه بالقانون، ما كان بإيدي يعني أصير محامية، أفتح منظمة، وصير المرة اللي أنا هلا.
So the more time you spend in the camp, you lose a precious time, you mean?
أكيد.
Yeah. And this precious time you can use in education, as you did, and your family did.
ما بس هالقصص، يعني كل واحد عم بيعيش بمخيم بكون هيك باب مسكر عن حياته. ما قادر يحلم بريت يفكر حياته بريت المخيم، لأنه هذا المخيم كمان مثل سجن، يعني ما خص يعني ما مثل سجن. الواحد اللي عايش بمخيم عايش بدون ما يقدر هيك يفكر حياته بريت المخيم.
So living in a camp, it's like a jail for you. You can't think what's happening outside. You are forgotten, let's say. Vous êtes oublié dans les camps.
طيب نحن بدنا نستنى كتابك، بدك تعجلي فيه. We need to see the transcript of your book. We're not going to wait until September. You have to send us some information. بدنا كمان سريعا بس انتبهوا بدهم يطلعونا من القاعة.
ما تمام. هلا احنا بدنا ناخذ بعين الاعتبار انه حسب الاحصائيات الحكوميه الرسميه انه عندنا 1,300,000 لاجئ سوري، من بين كل 3 بيمشوا بالشارع في واحد منهم لاجئ حسب تصريحات الحكومه. انا توصيات بما انه هذا العدد الكبير اغلبهم اطفال، انا مع انه تصير تعاون بينكم وبين وزاره التربيه او المنظمات اللي بتعتني بالاطفال بمراكزها، انه يصير ورشات صناعه افلام للاطفال. انا كثير بشوف اطفال بمنتجوا فيديوهات، حتى لو فيديوهات خاصه على الواتساب بينزلوا عليهم اغاني وعلى شبكات التواصل الاجتماعي. فما تستخفوا بالاطفال. الطفل لما هو بيسمع فيلم عن حياته في المخيم او حياته اليوميه بيكون اظن انه يكون في ابداع اكثر من كل الناس اللي ممكن تخرج. ففكره انه الطفل يكون يعني يتعلم فكره صناعه الافلام كثير عظيم. انا شاركت بمسرحيه طلعنا على الضوء، مسرحيه كممثل مسرحيه الاستاذ نوار بلبل قارب الحب، وكنت مشارك بالعمل الفني شكسبير ان زعتري، وبعرف تاثير هاي الاشياء على الاطفال لهلا. يعني لهلا عم بيتاثروا. يعني روميو صار بكندا ابراهيم سرحان ولسه اسمه روميو، مثل مسرحيه روميو وجولييت مع الاستاذ نوار بلبل، وهو طلع على كندا وتخرج من الجامعه ولسه مسمي حاله مش ابراهيم روميو. فالتاثير على الاطفال عظيم.
Thank you.
Thank you.
تفضلي recommendation.
My name is Mona Shihabi. I spoke to most of you, but I have introduced myself. I'm going to recommend my points as a filmmaker, as a casting director who brings refugees on set, not as a documentary filmmakers. I have 3 things that I need to talk about. We have a big problem when it comes through, and this is for Ard, and I don't know if CARE is involved. When we work with filmmakers, most of the filmmakers, they go to casting agencies. Alhamdulillah, I'm not one of them. So they bribe a person in the mukhayyam, in the camp, and they give them, like, let's say 100 JD per person, they would give at the end to 10 JDs. So one thing we always face, there's especially outside of the mukhayyam, more than inside of the mukhayyam. Dina is not here, probably Nisreen knows, that the families, they want to present their children to work. And they don't mind for their children to work for 18 hours in films, because for them it's a paid. When we pay a child, especially if it's a main role, like 100, 600, 700, whatever the amount is, for them he's like a money generating, so they push the children. So this is need to be legalized. Another thing, they have no whatsoever knowledge of their rights about filmmaking and cinema. So even their contracts, alhamdulillah, again, the people I worked with, what I represent is not, we deal with them, Karbush is a witness of how we work with people, not recommending ourselves, but how we try to legalize work and to get an alibi, that they have contracts, they have working hours, they have health security, children has to be escorted, not thrown on set without their permission. They have to learn that you're not allowed for somebody to take you inside for fitting, touching your body. They have zero awareness about their physical boundaries. And most of all, what we faced a lot, that some of them are very afraid of showing their real names, because sometimes some filmmakers, unfortunately, they come, they want to say, I want Syrian, and they don't make them read the script. And then we hear stories that because he's from this family, that his family in Syria or in Palestine or in Lebanon are assassinated or they're threatened. So this has to be, I believe, as a mandate, a real taken concern in this. One last thing I want to talk about, I had my point here. Collaboration we have said. I worked with Injaz for 7 years, and there was an Injaz which is a Save the Children sister NGO. So we were based in UNRWA schools, military schools, public schools, and for 4 years program for the children from grade 8 up to grade 10. We have a market awareness and education. And I have suggested this to so many parties regarding the filmmaking. And again, I really recommend that we collaborate together and put this and have it in schools, not even for them to tell stories, because now it's a social media, they have TikToks, they have Instagrams, but also how not to condemn themselves, because sometimes they would shoot themselves something, show their family, and it will take them somewhere else. So probably to be more legalized. Thank you so much.
So Claudia, please.
Yes, very brief. Thank you. Shukran. There were many interesting things that came out, and I wanted to pinpoint some of them that could be useful for your. So first of all, for example, the way we work, that it's, I think it's important to always contextualize the movies, because sometimes there is no discussion or there is no introduction, and especially with kids, this is could be very problematic. Especially because many of the movies or the films that are shown are very violent or tragic, or while we try to depict refugees not as refugees, as was said, but as individuals, people with dreams and stories, and show different kind of films. So we, for example, develop customized, tailored activities and interactive workshop tailored for gender, age, target populations, and also specially contextualized. And also in regards to social media, this is super important, because we know, especially in this context, young people are very much using social media. They have very high digital skills. And so it is important also to somehow, give them technical workshops that could be used in the cinema industry, or for them to have some skills to develop their own story if they have the possibility, but also to understand and analyze, have better skills to understand social media, because sometimes we know it's a complex world, especially for teenagers, and their representations of refugees and the things that they can find on social media. And yes, and also the way we work as a feminist organization, we work against categorization of individual histories. So this is super important. So I think to end, it is very interesting to think about ways to teach them something about the cinema industry on the technical level, because they can be the owner of their stories, like from the making, not only from the voice. Khalas, I'm done. Shukran.
Thank you. Annie, please. Annie, قبل ما نوصل على إعدادي.
Thank you. I think a lot of the things that I wanted to say have already been said. But my recommendation would be, first of all, to really think about the refugee communities outside the refugee camps. When you're talking about your plans and what you want to do, it's important to represent each community and not to put them all in one pot. The other thing that I wanted to say is really the way we talk about stories, it needs to be talked about from our own perspective. You know, I hear about PTSD, I hear about all of these things, but it's discussed from a Western point of view. You know, when we talk about PTSD, we need to talk about TSD, because the trauma is ongoing. So we really have to talk about it from our own perspective to be able to tell it from our own life. The third thing that I want to say is impact. I think back to William's point about the fact that, you know, a lot of filmmakers go into refugee camps and they start making films, and people are sick of, you know, refugees are sick of filmmakers coming in and telling stories. So how do you create impact with what you're doing? You're not just going in to create a movie and then to go out and screen it. What is your plan? How are you going to use those films that you are going to create? I think these are my recommendations, and I think to Malik's point, we need to discuss the different issues that refugees go through. You know, I worked in both refugee camps in Azra and Zatari, and I worked with urban refugees, and the issues are different in these different camps. So we really have to look at individualized stories to talk about the different issues that the different refugee camps or different refugees are going through. Yeah, this is it. Thank you.
So مرتين أو ثلاثة حكينا عن إنه إذا بدنا نعمل أفلام معهم. نحن we don't have a plan to do films with the refugee kids or youth. We plan to screen films. هلا making films and teaching them to do films and their own story, this is something completely different that we should think about and discuss differently. Having them interact after a screening and have films where they could be interactive and maybe after the film they could write their own story. This is one of a suggestion. But looking at them, casting them and making a film and teaching them to make their own film, this is completely different. It has to have a completely different tool. So maybe it will be later on, in another phase, because it's also much more difficult and it has a different plan or mandate, let's say even. So please, but it's of course, it was very much repeated, so it means that there is a need for it, for them to say their own stories. But maybe we can think of a way that is not for them to act, or because we don't want to get into something that is more complicated in this ARDD.
Actually, my recommendation, they said it before, and especially she talk about the compact of the movie. So this is very important to think what the aim of this movie, what it will focus on it, and the priority of needs. There is many challenging, there is many gaps, so we need to focus on priority for refugee, the refugee, not for anyone, for refugee, what they need first. So this is one of the things. I know that the movies is the most important tools for advocacy and awareness, and this is why I'm talking about the aim of this movie is very important. The second things, we need to think about all nationality refugee, not only for some nationality otherwise, and distinguish between them, because the challenging, for example, for Sudanese and Somalis refugees, different than the Syrian and Palestinian. They have challenging, maybe in the general, they have the same challenging and problems, but when thinking in deep, we'll find there is difference between both nationalities. So we need to focus on all nationalities, not one nationality or another. Thank you.
Thank you. So Mr. Ihab will close the session. يلا تفضل إيهاب.
أول شيء أنا يعني في لفت انتباهي كم شغلة، هي إنه المخيم جواتنا. اللي بدي أقوله، بدي أرجعكم أنا لفكرة السينما. في فيلم للمخرج محمد ملص اسمه المنام. فيلم المنام هو فيلم راح على المخيمات الفلسطينية في الثمانينات لما كانت قبل الاجتياح، وعمل فيلم عن أحلام اللاجئين. فصور أشياء، في واحد مثلا قال أنا حلمت في عبد الناصر، في واحد قال أنا حلمت إني حررت فلسطين، وهكذا. في واحد اسمه فيصل حلم غريب، وهذا الملفت للانتباه اللي أنا بدي أرجعكم لفكرة السينما. وإن شاء الله هذا الحكي يعني سوري.
So going back to the why is the camps and the cinema, in the 80s, the Syrian director Mohammed Mallas had a film going in the camps in Syria, for Palestinian camps. It's called Al Manam, the sleeping, and he was interviewing all all who interviewed, he was asking the refugees, what are your dreams? So what do you see in your dreams? So one of them said Abdel Nasser, the ex-president of Egypt. The other one said whatever. And then we came to a character called Faisal.
فيصل حلم غريب شوي. حلمه انه قالوا له شو حلمت يا فيصل؟ قال انا حلمت انه وصلت لمنطقة الجليل ولقيت حقل أخضر جميل جدا جدا جدا. قلت يا سلام لو نبني هون مخيم.
So Faisal said, I have a very weird dream. I dreamt that I'm in Al Jalil, in the northern part of Palestine, which is a landscape, a very greenish landscape. So he said, I dreamt about Al Jalil, how green it is, and I wished we built a camp there. Yani, even when he wanted to go back to his country, he was dreaming about even having a camp there. So the camp lives with all of us. That's the first tip Ihab said, and I forgot.
وبعديها اجى في كاتب روائي اسمه الياس خوري، كتب روايه كامله اسمها باب الشمس على موضوع حلم فيصل، اللي بس بدي اقوله انا في النهايه ان شاء الله يعني هلا اللجوء يعني السينما اللاجئه ما تكون متطوره اكثر، يعني او ما يعني احنا ما بنعمل سينما لاجئه عشان نعمل سينما، ان شاء الله ما يكون في سينما لاجئه اصلا. اللي بدي اقوله كمان هلا اللي بيحصل في غزه، يعني في نوع من التهجير واللجوء والنزوح، هذا احنا لازم يعني نطلع اقل ما فيها بتوصيه او شيء خاص بغزه، حتى لو مش في هاي الندوه، في ندوه اخرى. وشكرا كثير لكم.
So what we're witnessing in Gaza, based on the Faisal story, Ilyas Khouri wrote a book called Land of Sun, and but now what we're witnessing in Gaza, and we really hope we could see again the representation of the immigration and the Nakba and so on. So we hope we don't keep on making films about refuge. So so it could stop, but still we might have a recommendation about what's going on in Gaza and a message for them. Maybe if it's not in this session, in a different session. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. إن شاء الله يعني بنلتقى قريبا. Thank you each and every one of you. Thank you Malik Care International. We can have more information from you directly later on. Nicola, Sylvie, علي نرمين from LWF. عمار شكرا. يلا سينما. شكرا كيرون. شكرا ريم. شكرا زركوش انك حكيت لنا شيء, because we have secrets. Both of them have lived in refugee camps, so they can tell us. صدقة حبيبي شكرا كتير. Team Claudia, thank you Muna for also being here and inviting most of these people. ARDD, thank you for all this big team, guys. Annie, everybody here. شكرا جزيلا. We will be in touch by email. We will be asking you about some other things. Probably very soon you will receive a questionnaire, and we will be in touch so it doesn't become only one meeting here and that's it. ناخد صورة. If we want to have a picture now, I don't know if they, would you like to have a picture? قوموا يلا شرفوا.
Let's have a group picture. كلنا بس ناخد صورة جماعية please.